Hello, everyone, and hopefully you're ready for the first match of the night for this High Tide tournament. First off, we have Alamajo's awesome pickup versus Sheer Cold on Rainmaker Undertow, so hopefully we see how that goes. I'm Xavier, one of your commentators for the night. Oh, okay.
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 Uh, I think we're still good to keep talking here.
Okay.
Okay.
So a lot of members here on both teams. Interesting to see if they're going to sub out or continue to play that. Hopefully we get an interesting game one going here. A lot of options here, especially with the latest patch. Maybe we'll see some new rain comps. Maybe we'll see a bit of NZAP here. Most commonly, we may see a pencil coming out from both teams, but we'll see what to expect after the first game, hopefully. Don't know either of these teams personally, so I'm just hoping for an interesting match.
Yeah, indeed. Looks like we got the maps here. We're going to be starting out on Undertow Spillway, Rainmaker first. Obviously, yeah, I don't know either these teams. I have no idea what to expect. But it is definitely so soon after a patch. We'll probably see a little bit of experimentation, which I think will definitely be interesting.
Exactly. The day right after the patch drops, it's like anything is possible. It's most likely that we're still going to see a cooler pop out from both teams, but that's not guaranteed. We've seen experimentation on lower and higher level teams without cooler, so it may depend on like the team strategy going into this. And as the match is almost about to start, hopefully we can get to see how the meta may develop as a result of this tournament.
Yep, that definitely sounds good. Um, should be starting here shortly. I think everyone's just getting themselves readied up. I guess we'll see. Yeah, look, it's about to start. Right, it's about to start. And looks like here. There we go.
All right, we're loading into the game. On one side, we have a heavy Deco Blast custom blaster. Okay, some interesting comps from both teams. We're seeing a cooler from both teams coming out. Tri Nouveau on one side and an NZAP on the other. How it's going to play out. We have some spicy builds on both. The Tri running a special charge up and QR. Blue team's going to get the pop early on. We see cooler coming out almost instantly on the blue team. They're both playing neutral. Octopus is going to get two. However, they do go down, looking for
It's a 2v2 right now.
Indeed.
Also, something interesting is blue team appears to be doing a double whale comp, so interesting to see how they'll make that work.
When the Octobrush does get a pick on mid, this may be slowing down the blue team. However, they are able to recover.
Oh, it's just the heavy. Looks like we got a push on blue team. They grab checkpoint really quickly here. That's actually pretty big this early on. They might even get more because the orange is down. Yep, it's just the one at the moment. The other's spawning in still.
The orange team doesn't seem to be holding very well. The blue team opts to push to the left side to try and go around the people camping on the right. It seems to be successful as they're gaining points. The orange team will need to stop. The Rainmaker is getting picked though. Only the momentum. They are two down on the orange team.
Oh, but
the Rainmaker walks into a bomb.
He stood near it for a good, the entire duration there. That definitely sucks. Oh, and then another on orange. Dies to the whales, trying to jump out.
Blaster does clutch the pick though, trying to slow down the push. However, they just keep staggering until the blue can push. The Octobrush is keeping up the pressure.
They should recover here. It's just the shot. I think I see a jump there. Oh, the Octo goes down, but they do get the pop. Looks like they're just pulling it away, trying to drop it out off their plat.
It looks like they're trying to move up left. There is someone coming up on the right side, so hopefully they don't get flanked too well. It seems like they are. They do get the pick on the Rainmaker. They go two down the orange team.
It is only the try.
This push.
They cannot get these guys out of their spawn. They just keep staggering. They really need to take a moment to just try and just hold space. I think they're just trying to rush in a little too early. Oh, they might have something here though. The shot's pretty backed up. He's all the way back in mid, probably getting jumps to his team. Octobrush trying to capitalize on that. Does he? No.
Octobrush does go down, sadly. Splashdown coming up from the orange team doesn't seem to do much from the custom blaster. They're gonna have to back up here after being pressured. They do go down though, aren't able to recover. And the double from Bazooka. The blue team could just go in. They may opt to hold the Rainmaker, but it seems like they may push left. They get another pick. They've cleared. The orange team is all respawning right now. They have a free opportunity to push onto the left side. Let's see if they can continue this momentum that they have. Doesn't seem like they're willing to slow down and give the orange team any chance of recovery at all.
Indeed, it looks like they're trying to go for a knockout here. They don't want to stall this. The Octobrush does get a pick. They do. Orange team does have numbers. Oh, it's down even right now. Will they be able to hold the Rainmaker off? We do have the blaster here on the Rain. Oh, but he's from behind. He's moving it out. But he gets taken down again.
NZAP seeming to get to pop, almost having Cooler, opting not to pick up, trying to get the Cooler out first. Can the orange team regroup? No, another one goes down. They're not able to regroup in time to actually continue and stop the blue team, since the blue team has Cooler up and now has the Rainmaker as well.
Geez, that Bamboo's definitely in trouble for them. They just got two. They got a whale up. This is definitely a lot of pressure. One of them just fell off, had to jump back to spawn. Now they got the heavy too. It's just two of them. It's just one. It's just the Octobrush.
And that's a wipeout!
I think that's
you see the game end here. I think that may be game one, and that is. Dang. Dominating game one from the blue team, not letting up almost any pressure. The orange team was barely able to recover.
That was really impressive, having constant pressure. Honestly, they have a really fast comp, able to get specials out to just constantly keep pressure on the enemy team. Very interesting strategy as well, opting to try and go for the knockout rather than just stalling the Rainmaker. And I think it definitely paid off for them, ending the game early.
Exactly, the momentum that they carried forward, getting those constant picks, even able to get the Cooler out as a backup in case the push fails, was an excellent option for the blue team going forward, and it allowed them to keep that momentum. And even if they failed, we saw them regroup quickly and keep on providing that pressure, especially in the end game where we saw the Bamboo keep on shooting. I don't know if they're necessarily going to switch cons for the next map, which is Barnacle and Dime Clan Blitz. They may opt to keep the same comp, but as we know, Crack and Cheese is a popular strategy right now on all levels of play, so we may see a change in comps from both teams, especially from Almo's awesome pickup, especially considering the struggle that they had in game one.
Indeed. And especially, if I remember correctly, it was Amojo's awesome pickup that had the heavy on their team, so they could very easily swap that out for a heavy deco in order to get that Kraken. Not sure about Sheer Cold. Their comp seems to work very well against this team, so I'm curious to see if they'll stick around with it. I think both teams just readying up.
A map like Barnacle and Dime Clan Blitz, it may be worth it to stick with your AoE comp. A lot of AoE can flush the enemy out, and they'll have nowhere really to back up into. So getting map control and establishing that early, as we saw Sheer Cold do so early in the first game, may again just happen very rapidly, especially with the nature of Clan Blitz in game two. So Almo's team really has to pick this up in order to secure this game two.
Yeah, indeed. Definitely one of the biggest risks is really losing that stack area on Barnacle and Dime. Very hard to retake if you end up losing that. And it's certainly possible Sheer Cold could just get another lockout. I mean, they definitely struggled on Undertow, which I think, while not the easiest, is definitely not super hard to recover on. But I don't know. We'll see what happens on this map. Definitely interesting. Oh, looks like our battle is just about to start here.
We're gonna see what comps they are willing to pull out here.
Yeah.
On Almo, we are not going to see any crack. We're actually seeing an Explo. Very
and a Wiper Deco. Definitely comp changes on both. Looks like the other team opted for a range blaster. That would be Sheer Cold.
Seeing some tenacity on the Explo and some sub power up beacon, so we're gonna try and see this Almo trying to like pick up the pace and try and get in and control space. We're gonna see the shot, almost having Zuka charging up on the left side, getting those clams. Cold having a really good start, having control over mid for the most part. No one's down yet. Oh, we see an Explo go down on the side.
And another one went down. They got the stack. If they can get that person on the left, they should be able to hold this.
Yeah,
that's big for Sheer Cold. Octobrush trying to do something?
We're seeing an exact repeat almost of game 1 where they're just being trampled, especially with Azuka getting another pick that ends up tries to stop the ball, but they cannot. They do get a pick though, but the momentum just keep on going. Even though like Sheer Cold is 2 down, they already got the ball to 57 and the push may not end.
Yeah, that is very impressive. I do think Almojo's team is kind of feeding a little bit. They really need to watch out for that. If they keep taking too many deaths, then it's just going to be a repeat of the last game.
Exactly. Cooler does come out on the right side, but however and Sheer Cold has their cooler. Both teams have their coolers out. Whale coming out on the side of Sheer Cold, trying to pressure and get back in there. They want to be able to control. They have that ball, and they have a clam economy, so they do be able to carry push. However, the NZEP does go down. They may have to retreat. And another goes down.
That's three down. They should be able to recover here. It looks like that's exactly what they're doing. They retake their stack. Will they get any more space, though? It doesn't look like it. All Sheer Cold is all back, ready to go, and they have a Zuka ready as well. We'll see if they choose to wait.
Comes out on the side of Alamo's team, however, does go down. It's 1 down on each side. Zuka comes out claiming a pick. A cooler out on Sheer Cold. They're trying to get back into mid and continue that pressure that they applied continuously.
Indeed. The Wiper just went down. Looks like they're backing up. Oh, I think the shot's on their plat. He is.
The Octobrush gets 1.
But he goes down.
Continue that. Seems like they're losing momentum again this year. Cold. They're just having another repeat. The Explo has to back up, especially with the Zuka, but they get picked off. It's only the Octobrush.
The Octobrush. No way you could have handled 3 of them all at once. That's unfortunate. Oh, and the Wiper drops right on top of them. Risky strategy there. Does manage to get a pick, but he unfortunately gets a trade. It's a trade. Now the Range Blaster wreaking havoc. Nice pick. Oh, that's a double right there. Can he turn it into a triple?
Still getting clams in. This push may not end, especially since the Wiper Deco. However, they opt to jump out to try and secure mid further. The Wiper's trying to go in, trying to set up as well. It's going to look like it's going to be a rush to mid, but I think Sheer Cold is going to win that race.
Indeed. I think very smart play on the Range Blaster backing up, managing to recognize that it was a dead push and decided not to go down. That's very useful. That Range Blaster AoE very good on this map, so to be able to keep a lot of pressure over on the street there.
Exactly. We see a Whale coming out from Sheer Cold, claiming a pick on the Octobrush, especially with Cooler out. The momentum needs to be carried on, and we see another pick coming out from Sheer Cold.
That's 3 down. The Zuka trying to clean up the Expo. Does he get it? Looks like, yep, they finished off the Expo.
They clean up the fight. And
there
that's game, just like that.
Another knockout. Jeez. And on Clamblitz, too. One of the harder modes to manage to knock out on. Definitely seems like Sheer Cold is really able to take hold of that momentum and just go for it.
Just think that Almo had certain chances to like reclaim that momentum or at least start some momentum by going into mid. However, they didn't fully capitalize on that. And Sheer Cold's pressure that they constantly applied over and over, having those coolers come in and out faster and like using their specials as well to excel with that cooler just made it almost impossible for Almo's team to actually get in. And we're seeing like similar problems between game 1 and game 2. Like we're seeing this lockout problem happen again. So maybe they can change it up for game 3.
Indeed. Looks like game 3 is going to be on Hagglefish Market here. Definitely interesting because it is tower controlled. Definitely notorious for snowballing. So we'll have to see if they can manage to recover here. Maybe they can take away 1 set. It is play all 3 here, so even if they can get 1 game, that'll certainly be useful for moving on.
Exactly. It'll be useful for helping them down the line. I think Sheer Cold is most likely going to keep a variation or a similar comp, especially considering tower control AoE is heavily favored on tower control maps. And especially on Hagglefish Market, you want that AoE to clear tent, especially when you're pushing up. So Sheer Cold probably has the advantage going in here. So we're gonna have to try and see Almo's try and pick up the slack here, especially considering they've only been constantly locked out with Sheer Cold applying all this pressure.
Indeed. I do suspect probably no comp changes on Sheer Cold if I had to take a guess. I think Almoho probably have a larger comp change, especially considering Hagglefish. Really good for backlines, really good for AoE. But I feel like they might want to offer something a little more defensive. It seems like they really end up taking a lot of trades, and that perhaps maybe something playing a little slower, trying to let Sheer Cold come to them might help them. Might help them to hold space a lot better.
Totally agree. It seems that they're struggling, like providing some offensive pressure, especially as we saw last game with the Octobrush and like all of them, like on the side of Alamo trying to like reclaim mid. They weren't able to successfully like gain a pick and just lost the momentum. And here we are seeing the game starting.
Yep. All right, let's see what comps we got on both teams here. All right, what do we got?
We're seeing a bow on the side of Almo's team.
Dang,
and on
Stringer.
the other, we're seeing a Stamper and a Sniper coming out. Interesting comm changes considering it. And a V-Wiper still with sub power-up. Not sure how that's going to work, especially with Stamp.
Huh.
Might have forgotten to switch their builds. And we're seeing all special charge up on Sheer Cold. We're seeing Almo like having good and solid mid control. However, one gets weak on the Stamper due to left side.
Indeed. I think biggest risk here is pushing up too early on this map. You really need to be careful and play for specials. It looks like though Sheer Cold getting specials out first, got a crab tank in mid, maybe pushing the tower up. Does seem like they're starting to push the tower up.
They do get a few people down on both sides. Oh, almost cleaning this side up. They are stopping this push dead in its tracks, or at least attempting to. Oh, the dualies do go down though.
Oh, it looks like I think they'll be able to recover here. They have numbers, and it seems like, Sheer Cold is backing up, opting to try and stabilize back in mid. But Spice got a crab there. Is he going to get shredded, though?
Not shredded, but it's also not providing too much value at the same time due to having to go into ball pool and do the Zuka shots. So the crab almost was essentially wasted. The Zap rushes down the shot and
did he? Oh, he did get it. He did get a cooler up at least, but probably moved in a little too early. Allows Sheer Cold to gain a lot of momentum. That's very dangerous.
Exactly, as we've seen in the previous games, that momentum is never slowed down, and so we don't expect to see here, especially with two specials coming on the side of Sheer Cold. They're trying to keep up the pressure and make sure that Almo has no chance of getting in, and they're doing so successfully, getting a pick on the dualies as well, and the end zap.
That's not good. That means no cooler. Hammer's trying to go in, cleans up the Stamper, but goes down to the rest of them. They really need to get a couple picks here. Oh, they got another? That's two? That's all of them.
The cooler's not going to help too much, but they will be able to regroup faster. However, let's see if Almo's team can keep up the pressure, especially with this crab fighting.
Oh, Zuka coming in destroys the crab. Damn, impressive. Got the Stringer trying to get some AoE here. Is he able to get any picks? Got the Stamper on the left side, opting to whale it out. Good play there, man. It forces the Stamper back. Can't rush the Stringer there.
Ooh, and we see two more going down on Almo's side, which we're seeing this constant pressure from Sheer Cold keep up. Oh, the shot does go down, however, it does end up in a trade.
Does look like it's just the Charger opting to try and hold the area with strikes. Looks like the Stamper's gonna... Alright, Stamper backing up. Smart play there. He does even grab a pick on the way out, which is definitely impressive.
Yeah, we're seeing like the settle back into neutral. Neither team is pushing. They're just vying for control, waiting for their specials to come in. However, we do see a pick on the Wiper come out. This could swing momentum. However, Almo's team is trying to retain this pressure with the crab. Sheer Cold responds with their own crab and a Zuka.
And Zuka, a lot of pressure. Unfortunately, the crab does go down, not able to secure any kills. And it looks like, damn, Sheer Cold just really controlling the map, allowing the Stamper to get all the way in.
But we're seeing this dually flank potentially shutting it down. It's only up to the dualies. However, they do go down to the Stamper.
They ran out of ink. super unfortunate on the dualies there. They probably would have gotten a couple picks off that.
Exactly. We're only seeing Sheer Cold continue the momentum they had. That Dooley's was probably Almo's team's last hope, especially with all these specials coming in.
Only
We're
the
seeing
stringer,
constant
no.
people going down Almo. Can they do it? Can they keep up? No, they can't. That's game 3 in a 3-0. We see Sheer Cold dominate this set, keeping up their momentum.
Indeed. I do hope that Almojo's team goes back over those replays. I think they definitely have a lot they can learn off that. It seemed, obviously, not exactly sure just from one overlook, but sure there's plenty they can learn, and I do hope they manage to improve off this.
Exactly. I do think that Almo's team had a lot of potential. I definitely saw them have some good flanks, especially with like the dually opportunity being flanked and almost essentially being unnoticed. They definitely had a lot of opportunities to be able to actually push in if they coordinated a bit better. I think it was most likely a lack of coordination that allowed them to not really push in because they didn't really get to be able to regroup after losing that momentum consistently, like fight over fight. Even when we saw them win fights, they eventually just lost momentum, and I think that was a huge problem that they struggled with.
Indeed. I think as well, they also had a lot of moments of feeding, just really rushing, trying to make those hero plays on solo. And while it may work in solo queue, in a team setting, you really have to be careful when you go and make those types of plays. I think as well, I think you mentioned Sheer Cold had a lot of special charge ups. They were really trying to just end up spamming tons of those specials, just trying to overwhelm the other team, which it ended up working really well.
Exactly. Overwhelming the opposing team was a consistent strategy from Sheer Cold that we saw dominate each of these sets. And uniquely, I'm pretty sure we saw a unique comp on all 3 maps, showing just how much diversity can be shown just by having different map modes in place. And especially with like the most recent patch, we saw an Expo on one side, Wiper, Deco, Wiper. Like some of these weapons haven't been popular because of Cooler, and now to see them here, you may potentially be seeing a shift in the meta. However, it is a bit early to decide.
Oh, definitely. I mean, while I don't think there was a lot of changes, I think some of the changes were really good. I really want to see where weapons with Wavebreaker and Inkstorm go, with the devs adding, well, new features for both of them. Wavebreaker gaining a weaker version of Echolocator, and Inkstorm allowing you to recover at the rate you do in Squid form, but while you're in Kid form. Certainly very interesting changes. It does seem like I do expect we'll probably see more rain weapons in the coming sets.
I agree. I feel like yeah. Okay. Yeah. But after that dominating set, it's really going to be interesting to see like new teams try and find what comps they want to settle with. Like we didn't exactly see like a current comp develop. Like we haven't really seen one comp dominate this effective meta. We've only seen dominant weapons. So seeing teams experiment, especially with like the Bamboo on game 1 and like the Range Blaster on other games, it's going to be really exciting to see what teams are able to create and pull out.
Definitely. Also, did notice no pencils that game. You're mostly using Zap and Tri-Slosher for Cooler. I do hope that the points for special nerf wasn't too impactful on those weapons and that we will still be able to see them quite a bit. I think other noteworthy things, we did end up seeing a heavy for one of the games. Quite surprising. Haven't been seeing heavy too often, at least in the sets I've been playing. It is kind of unfortunate being such an interesting weapon. I don't know. Maybe it's Heavy's time to shine again. They did just have the wave buff.
I think the wave buff is a necessary step for the direction of Splatoon 3 to like see the devs be able to buff like specials in the way they're doing, like giving it its unique identity. However, just with the location buff, I don't think it's enough to put Wavebreaker on the map. I do think it's essential to try that out, as we saw on the side of Alho's pickup. We did see them try it out. However, it seemed like they struggled with holding space, and that's one of the things that Heavy is supposed to excel at. So I think Sheer Cold just overwhelmed them with the amount of specials that they had, which is something that we may potentially see in game 2 as well. Like we may not see the momentum ever stop.
Indeed, indeed. Um, probably will be starting round 2, I expect. Oh, it looks like we got the information from both teams here. We have Baby Girls and Great Apes. Kind of funny, I actually do know one of these teams. I do talk with a couple members from Baby Girls, so I do know a bit about what they are about. I will not be spoiling anything. You'll have to wait and see what they end up doing.
Something to hear, and it seems like they both have significantly less members as compared to the other teams, so we may see more like the same comps throughout all the games rather than like the switch, like almost like every other game we had in the last set someone switched weapons, so we may not see that as well here, so we may just see like a constant comp and just see how they play out in this like new set of maps.
Indeed, indeed. It looks like we have our maps here. We have ship-shaped zones, and then we'll be doing Crab Rain, Museum Clams a little later. Focusing on ship-shaped zones, definitely a very interesting zones maps. Not one of the best ones in the game, but I think it's pretty solid. Having a very creative mid, focusing a fair bit on verticality, while having a very low, almost trench-like zone.
Exactly. It's really weird to traverse, especially with the top area, with you being able to jump on sides repeatedly. Like, especially with like the movement options presented in Splatoon 3, it's going to be interesting to see how teams experiment with that, especially since ship shape is still relatively new. Like people, it's really weird to push in and push out, especially with like the layout of the map. So seeing teams experiment with what they want to do is going to be really exciting, especially going into this match.
Indeed, indeed. One of the things I think both teams need to be concerned about is the potential for lockouts. ShipShape has a bit of an issue with locking out if you can get a good control on mid. So really interested to see how both teams attempt retake and also their hold of mid.
Exactly. A zones game can just be over in the snap of a finger, so being able to push in is almost essential. However, with such things such as Reef Slider, Tri-Strike, Booyah Bomb, it's going to, depending on the comp you're running, it could be potentially easier to flip the zone. However, you sacrifice some offensive potential as well. So I'm really curious to see what teams are going to pull out, especially considering we may see some storms coming out because of the latest patch. So overall, I'm really excited to see what we're going to bring in round 2 of this tournament.
Indeed, indeed. I do hope that both teams are able to put on a very strong performance, give you guys some very interesting games to watch. At least based on my experience with one of the two teams, I do think they are pretty good here, so I think we'll have some very exciting sets here. At the moment, just waiting on both teams to finalize their comps. We should be able to start the game in another 30-ish seconds.
Yeah, it's going to be I think it's going to be really interesting to see if teams are willing to change their comp, especially after losing the game, which we saw even after the team won the game. We saw comps changing consistently, with even no sub outs in round 1. So I'm really interested to see if that persists in this game and what they're willing to bring out and see how they play. And now the game's on its way.
Indeed, let's see what we got on both sides. Definitely looking for some interesting comps on both sides. All right.
Okay, we're seeing a more traditional comp coming on the side of Great Apes, whereas on
And
Baby Girls
both.
we're seeing a more aggressive comp. So both comps are really standard in the meta. Both teams having a pencil, great pencil map, very open. You're able to sit back and be able to paint that zone. We're seeing the range immediately try and poke the left side. However, on the other side of blue team, we're seeing them actively try and go for the zone. However, both teams go one down.
Jets really trying to get that Zuka there. Managed to get it. Starts wreaking havoc. One pick. Any more? No more picks. Apes here having control of mid and potentially securing a lockout here. Looks like Maple's cornered and Maple goes down. Looks like we're going to have a bit of a potential lockout here, which could certainly be interesting. Ooh, big pick on the Zuka there.
Exactly, we're seeing this control again. We're seeing control emanate from this team again, especially with the constant trades of Zukas. They're just trying to control the space and make sure they're not able to get in, especially with like the constant Zukas. However, one of the shots does go down. There's the other team is seeing this as their opportunity to go in. A trade occurs. The knock goes down. They do have the numbers advantage. It is time to move in.
Oh,
They get
just
another
the pencil.
pick. Not
There we go.
slowing
That's
down.
control of zone. Looks like they flipped the situation around. Now they're the ones in control. Be very interesting to see what Great Apes potentially pulls out here. They do have a cooler, so they have the possibility to go in. It does look like the Nautilus went down, unfortunately, but they have the infamous double Zuka prepared. One comes out, and there's the follow-up from the other one. Massive
Exactly.
destruction. That's a
Oh,
triple.
we're seeing a flip. We got a triple from the Zuka. They're gonna push in now. The pencil is forced to retreat in order to not get picked off and save their cooler for another retake. As we see the opposing pencil just paint up, get their cooler. Like, pencil is a dominating force that can just hold that space, and it's very dangerous. However, with both teams Zukas, it is potential to just get rid of it. And we see this
another
momentum
Zuka.
carried
Oh,
on.
that's devastating. Another pick there. It's only the Range Blaster, which just recently spawned in. Does have a Wave Breaker. Not sure how much they'll be able to make do with that. Using the echolocation there. Oh, another pick.
You see another pick coming out. However, that shot does unfortunately go down. Not being able to hold, only going to 14.
Oh, they nice
Did
flip the zone. All right.
Not trying to get a pick and hold their space. However, they do unfortunately go down. The orange team does have the advantage and are able to push in further.
However, it does look like one of them is sharking on the top side. Will they see it? Will they be able to catch that out? Oh, it looks like they do catch it.
And they do go down, sadly. Not able to
Yeah.
get value out of that. We see a Zuka go down and not being able to get value even further. However, they do clean up the fight, killing the shot. It seems like the orange team is currently holding and trying to get that lead successfully. We do see Storm coming out. Will this be enough for them to push in?
Oh, with the Zuka there, they have low numbers. I don't think, they don't hold. Barely away from taking lead, but there are still 2 minutes remaining. Plenty of time. They need to avoid feeding.
Yeah, and then we see the dualies sharking, waiting for their opportunity to be able to go in. And they do be able to go in, getting a pick on the shot. And we see another one going down. This may be their time to be able to control zone. They do not cap zone. The zone has been uncapped for a while. They're just focusing on their fights right now, trying to be able to maintain that position. However, it does seem like they're now gaining momentum with that Zuka.
It's only the pencil. Are they going to be able to rush the pencil down, though? Looks like we got Winta coming in from the back. Pencil going to try and jump out. Oh, but they do get picked off. That's definitely big for the side of Baby Girls there. Because now... Oh, it looks like Great Apes might be doing something here. We got a zone contest at the moment. And they do manage to flip the zone.
On the side of Baby Girls, we're seeing this pencil trying to fight for their life, being able to throw out Cooler and Crab. They're going to use this combo and try and paint zone, and they do. They flip the zone in favor of Baby Girls. They're trying to be able to push in and hold. They need to win this fight. However, Storm from the side of Great Apes will make this hard.
Indeed, indeed. Looks like another contest. Both teams have pretty good chance of coming back. I speak a little too early. Unfortunately, Baby Girls get staggered there. They do have a Zuka, though. Have the potential to use that to come back.
Ooh, and Great Apes makes
there
that
it comes.
offensive play to try and get rid of the Cooler. They're not going to have Cooler. Baby Girl's not going to have Cooler for a while. This may be a problem, especially with the timer going down in only 20 seconds on the clock.
Indeed, and it looks like it won't even come to that. There's only a few points remaining. They need to contest zone now, and unfortunately, they do not.
Exactly. We see a very close back and forth game on chip shade zones. Both teams were actually really able to maintain space, but then eventually got pushed out due to the specials. I think it just shows how Zuka is very prominent in the current meta, especially since it's able to clear out enemies and deal with Pencil very effectively, as we saw in the game.
While probably not regarded as the strongest special in the game, Zuka is still very fast. Very little startup. It can get a pick like a snap of a finger. Really have to be careful when the enemy team has it. Thankfully, you can see if the enemy team has their special on the HUD, but in the middle of a firefight, it'd be a little difficult to go and check that.
Exactly. In the middle of the game, you're more focused on like what position I'm taking, what fights do I want to take, like should I be able to go in? And it's really hard to keep track of the HUD screen while doing so, allowing for the specials to just fly. And credit I'd like to credit both teams here for being able to hold so well. Even though Great Apes did pull out the win, there was a solid chance that Baby Girls was able to pull it out. I think Great Apes just made excellent plays at the end, ready to go in and get rid of that cooler. Even though they traded, it was really in favor of Great Apes for just getting rid of that cooler. And now we're heading on to Crab-led Rainmaker, so
Indeed, indeed. I think definitely very impressive play going after the cooler. Such a valuable special in this game. And I definitely agree. Both teams are pretty solid here. I mean, 20 seconds here and there on either team, and it can be a big shift. It's crazy to see just how quickly a zone timer can go from 100 down to like 20. It is insane.
exactly. I'm really excited to see this transition to Rainmaker. Rainmaker is arguably the fastest game mode in Splatoon, and to see that fast flipping zones game that just had them going back and forth, to now see that in Rainmaker, I'm very excited to see how this game plays out, especially with Crableg being able to go on both routes, having those flank options. It's going to be really exciting to see these two teams transverse this and see who actually comes out on top in this game too.
Indeed, indeed. And I think it's a good thing that it's crab leg here. There's not too many spaces you can stall out the Rainmaker, so I don't think we'll see a campy game here, which all the better for you guys being able to watch here. I think crab leg is very interesting with pushing. You have the very, somewhat slower right side having to go across the bridge with the Rainmaker, while having the riskier but faster left side. It'll be interesting to see how each team decides to play this very interesting map.
Okay, we're seeing a double splatling out from Great Apes, and we're seeing a very similar comp coming out from Baby Girls as well. Both teams having a ballpoint Nouveau, wanting the back to be able to guide them to Rainmaker. We're seeing an early start. We're gonna see Great Apes being able to pop that Rainmaker first and gain mid control very early on.
Indeed. I think Ballpoint Nouveau, very interesting play. This map, it can definitely be risky to push up on the bridge or jump across, so very good to have that vacuum for protection. Though we do see Great Apes managing to secure a nice triple there, but will they be able to... Oh, breakaway on the left side. I think they grab check here. Oh, excellent play there.
Back here, and their shots trying to hold space, but more importantly, they back up, able to find a time to go back. The Baby Girls Ballpoint Nouveau being able to clutch out a fight. However, they do go down, unfortunately, and the Rainmaker's only getting more space, but they do go down. It seems like Baby Girls will be able to recover from this. Yeah, they get another pick. It seems like they will be able to push back in. However, this does show how fast the game is able to move. We're seeing the shot move up on the right side as well.
Crab goes down. Definitely not good. I think they needed that crab to try and restabilize. Also, very interesting play on Great Apes, pushing in from two directions, allowing them to pincer Baby Girls, especially put their ballpoint in a bad position, allowing them to get taken down.
Exactly. Now we're seeing the NZAP pressure the not getting a pick and forcing the ballpoint back. We're seeing Great Apes having to reposition themselves in order to set up for another push, even though they do have specials. However, Baby Girls getting another pick, they're able to push in further, and now they have back. They most likely will be able to clear this checkpoint.
Indeed, indeed. It does look like they also chose to throw out the back shot a little early. It seems like the other team has a back shot. Smart move, being able to pop the shield, stop Baby Girls from staying up there. Great ability to restabilize.
Exactly. You don't want a team up there. Oh, we see. Oh my gosh, we see it.
Dangerous triple there. They barely grab it. They should get lead here.
Baby Girls was able to retain that lead with that triple. That was amazing, being able to secure that. However, they do go 2 down and the push is dead. However, that lead is very huge, especially in Crab Leg. It's really hard to push in sometimes unless you get those picks. And so now that they have that lead, it may be hard for Great Apes to be able to come back even after their amazing head start.
Indeed. Also, very interesting idea, the ballpoint picking up the Rainmaker. They're not going to have a back for that nice, easy push back in. But it looks like they might not need it. Oh, they 3 points? No.
It's 2v1. I think. Do you in fact think Great Apes will have it and be able to push in? And
I think so, just barely. Oh, it's 1 point.
They don't!
Oh,
They're
it was a tie.
No,
1
two.
point low.
All they need to go forward once. That's all they need. They
Ah.
don't. They're able to stop in their tracks. It's only shot, and they have to retreat. The push is shut down just when it looked like it would retreat. The shot is camping. They
Wait,
going around. Does it work?
Ah.
No, they don't get it. It seems like the push is officially dead, and they don't have the lead. Even after that amazing turnaround, they weren't able to secure the lead in time. We may see this come down to a 1 point difference, which is insane.
That indeed would be crazy. Shot almost making a hero play there, but very risky because the enemy team can easily call you out on that. All it takes is for one of them to see you, and you're busted.
Oh, that ends up walking right up to that dually, sadly, and is just getting picked off. We're gonna see good holds from both sides here, trying to just push the other out, using the orange team using both the Rainmaker and the Zuka, trying to get a pick, and they do on the dualies. And
but the Rainmaker's down. Rainmaker unfortunately fell in the pit somewhere in the fight, and they weren't able to capitalize on the vacuum. Definitely not good, but they still have an opportunity here. They're still nice on the elbow. We got a flank coming in as well. Oh, one pick there.
That's awesome. They're two on each side. The Rainmaker can just run it potentially, trying to secure points. However, they opt to use the Rainmaker and try and walk in. They're just using the cover. They're biding their time. They know they need to make this push count. However, they do go 2 down. It seems like this push might be wasted if they don't use their time wisely.
Yeah, wait, they took lead. That's huge. It's only 1 point.
Oh my gosh, they may be able to regroup and continue to push. Oh no, one of them does go down. However, this lead is monumental with only 30 seconds left. We may only see an overtime push on the side of blue team. They may need to clutch this up in overtime.
Indeed. It looks like the Great Apes choosing to stagger there instead of backing up to play for defense. With only 12 seconds remaining, there's only going to be a minute overtime after this. And that's it seems like Great Apes is losing numbers.
They do need to grab that Rainmaker in time, unless they have overtime.
Oh no!
It's too late. They did need to grab the Rainmaker, and they failed to. That is a game, folks. They were unable to grab the Rainmaker in time. They probably thought that they had more time, but they didn't. So on the side of Great Apes, that's another win for them.
Indeed. Unfortunately, it does seem like the member on Baby Girls, as they take the squid roll back, their angle's slightly off, so they're a little too far to the right to grab it. Definitely unfortunate, but still excellent game on both sides. Very close. Great Apes played that so well, opting to just be really cautious while on the Great Bridge there, which I think was a fantastic choice from them, looking for that perfect opportunity to squeak by.
Exactly. In Rainmaker, it's really hard. Like, you have to make those decisions on the fly, and that decision can be the decision between winning or losing the game. And as we saw in that previous game, Great Ape's original push was really successful. However, Baby Girls pushed in, and then they struggled to actually get the lead. But due to that final push with patience, they were able to secure that lead and understood the opportunity that you were talking about, that they were able to secure and hold, and ultimately won off of that.
Indeed. I think the Great Apes, putting on a little bit of that grease, trying to be a little grease monkey there. I think they did a really good job.
Exactly. The movement that they showed and the fact that they were able to continue their pushes even after we saw more of their players going down and them only having like the Rainmaker and the ballpoint up, they continually proved that they were able to hold the space with what they had, and that ultimately led to them winning the game. And now onto game 3, we're going to Clam Blitz Museum, and honestly, based on what I've seen previously, I think both teams have a solid strategy. It only matters who executes them well. I'm wondering if we're going to see any team comp switches, especially with Clan Blitz. Museum is a very open map, so I wouldn't be shocked if they opted to keep the same comps as well.
Indeed. I think Museum's probably regarded as one of the better clams maps in the game. Tons of routes, especially that drop right out of spawn. Very good drop. I've gotten plenty of picks off that myself. Be interesting to see, especially Baby Girls having a dually player. I'm interested to see if they'll opt to try and go for some early momentum at the start.
Exactly. That early momentum can be essential. As we saw in both games, the team that eventually got that early momentum ultimately had a lot of control and got that good push. And that good push can win you the game, especially in Clan Blitz of all modes. It's one of the hardest modes to push, but once you do secure that push, it's really easy to see that knockout. It's one of the more versatile modes. And to see that here in game three with both of these teams is going to be an excellent fight to the finish. And I can't wait to see what they pull out here.
Indeed. I think one of the interesting things I want to see on Museum is how well they utilize that spinner on Plat. That spinner is huge with tons of ways you can play off it. A couple notable examples is being able to go all the way up top. You can stand on the grates, you can score clams from above, and you have a really nice angle on the basket. You can also use the spinner to jump on to the high ground on the plat in order to try and get a couple sneaky picks. I'm definitely curious to see how they'll use the very unique terrain on this map.
With the versatility of both teams, it seems like they'll be able to win to their advantage. We're seeing pencils in both comp. Ooh, we're seeing a wiper and splash on pink team, very interesting. And now we're seeing a kraken on the other. So this is very interesting comps from both teams. Definitely opting to switch up their comps for this open map. We're seeing the wiper on Baby Girls just go for it. However, they do go.
They don't get a pick.
Down the wiper's jump out.
Unfortunately, as they were flanking, the shot and the 96 both dropped right, managing to secure a lot of good picks. We'll see how well teams can approach this, with Apes having a nice advantage at the start.
Ooh, and we're seeing the Zuka being able to clean up the fights, especially since their team went 2 down, and now they have the advantage. Great Apes being able to push in even further thanks to those Zuka shots and another pick. The wiper does seem to go around them, however, Great Apes does successfully score. I don't know if they'll be able to continue this push, though.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it. And they got the power in, which that's nice, but Baby Girls does get a pity from that. That pity doesn't despawn, meaning that they can use that for a potential counter push here. It does look like Baby Girls has numbers at the moment, managing to take mid. Oh, but Syrup goes down. No crab for them.
This shot is moving, trying to get a pick on the range blaster. However, they do end up in a fight with the range and the shot. The range does go down, their teammate being able to clean up the fight. Can Baby Girls recover? They do throw cooler, and the map's kind of even. However, it does seem like Baby Girls is trying to extend their advantage.
Indeed. Looks like Winta went down with the hammer there. Very unfortunate. It also looks like Zuka potentially... Oh, grabs the pencil. That is huge. Looks like Great Apes has the momentum for another push here.
Actually, we're seeing this 96 being able to pressure. They do have a ball out. However, Baby Girls responding with the crab, trying to get that pressure and make sure they're not able to push in. They do get the pick on him, but the Kraken does come out. Will they be able to pull up the Kraken cheese? I don't think they will, since they don't have the ball, so they're just trying to get space right now at the moment.
Indeed. I think, honestly, decent play on their part. Perhaps the Kraken could have held space a little better, but I don't blame them for backing up, especially without additional team support. Looks like we have them trying to move the ball in. They got another ball in. Will they get the next one? They do. Nice 30 points there. Oh, wait.
Let's go.
They
get
another one.
That does mean the push is dead, so we will be seeing Baby Girls enter the mid for the first time. However, the 96 gets a pick. They are stopping this momentum. The Range Blaster does pick them off, but this just shows that both teams are able to secure space really well. However, it just seems that Great Apes is just doing a better job of it at the moment.
Indeed, I think that 96 is nothing to sneeze at. Having a wall allows them to hold space very well. It's definitely a scary thing, and unfortunately, the Range Blaster hasn't been able to take care of it too well, which is definitely unfortunate. Does look like, trying to see here, it looks like Baby Girls is on Great Apes Plat, has the potential for a push here. We do have Azuka coming out, managing to get a pick on the pencil, or, yeah, the pencil there. But they do still have 2 balls. They could potentially score here.
But they do go down. I don't know if the Range Blaster, I don't think the Range Blaster, even if they were there, would be able to help. It does seem like Baby Girls was set up for a really good push if they were able to push in. However, they do fail, and we do see Great Apes being able to reclaim mid at a very fast pace. However, we do see the shot go down from the pencil. However, Kraken does come out, and they do secure a pick. It seems like they're even on one side, on both sides yet again.
Indeed. That Kraken was a smart play. It allowed them to properly displace Baby Girls, meaning that they couldn't get onto the plat. definitely very smart because that Kraken is invulnerable. You can basically move around an enemy team, really scatter them, and give your team the chance to recover, which is a very good play.
Exactly, distracting the enemy is a huge thing, and Kraken does that while still providing pressure for you. However, it does seem like the 96 is going to have to move back and try and use their wall to hold, especially with Baby Girls using their resources to try and push in, especially since they have a cooler and a crab potentially being able to thrown out, and they do use that. Baby Girls is going to use this to try and control their side, and they get a pick. However, the other side does have cooler, so it does seem like they'll be able to regroup.
Indeed. It also looks like the Crab didn't find too much, wasn't able to pick off that 96, which is definitely big for Great Apes. And it looks like the range goes down. Will the shot's kind of far, goes down to the Kraken.
Comes out.
The hammer goes in and is like, nope, I don't want to face a Kraken. I don't blame him.
They were just like, let me not deal with this. I'm out of here. I don't want to fight that. And even though Baby Girls does get the ball and it doesn't necessarily seem like it was ultimately going to be worth it, even though they did score and they do have a setup, they do need to get a ball and make sure that their next push is going to close out the game. And hopefully they're able to secure some space and are able
I hear a
to
Kraken. That looks like, I think that might be Kraken cheese there. The pencil does have it. Are they going to jump in?
Ooh,
they are jumping over. I think they're going to score here.
That's game,
and unfortunately they do end the game there. Well,
Baby Girls wasn't able to secure that clam ball and secure that space needed in order to actually go in and make sure that they could continue the push, and therefore we ultimately saw them lose in overtime due to Kraken cheese, which is really just a really game-ender strategy. There's nothing really you can do too much about it, especially with the comps that they had. So, and only one player up, so it's really sad to see. But fantastic away. Good plays to both teams. It was very excellent to see them both really stand out and show how their style of gameplay works. And I think that they definitely played their hearts out.
Indeed. I think on that last game, both teams were very good at taking space, but I think Great Apes just had a better plan when they actually got on the plat, which allowed them to secure that little extra mile to get into the basket. I do hope both teams goes and reviews these games, takes some notes. I think both had great moments, but there's certainly things that can be worked on. Impressive performance on both teams, though.
I agree. I definitely think that both teams had those opportunities to push, and they definitely used that very well to try and continue their momentum. However, as we saw in that game, Great Apes were consistently using their momentum to its fullest. As unfortunately we saw with Baby Girls, they eventually lost the momentum to Great Apes and weren't able to get it back in time to secure the set. And ironically, almost every game didn't result in a closeout. Like we almost saw, I'm pretty sure in almost every game, with the exception yeah, actually every game we saw them go to time, like we saw them go to overtime, just due to the nature of them going that much back and forth, that we didn't really see the game ending too early on really either side.
Indeed. I think both were very close. I think Great Apes was just a little better, able to take advantage of those situations slightly better, and I think that was definitely good, you know. It's pretty clear that they love them, they reject the human, they accept the monkey. They even have Monkey on their team, you know? Perfect name.
No, Monkey is just the best, and as we saw in that set with the 3-0, it definitely was the right way to go. Upcoming, for the next match, we're going to be seeing TC Inkblot, Slatstone Umami, and Rainmaker Robo Ramen, so hopefully we're going to see some interesting combinations here. I think after last set's explosive nature, I'm really curious to see what's actually going to happen and how teams are going to handle the situation.
Indeed. We don't know the teams just yet, but I'm sure they're going to be some very solid teams. I speak too soon a lot. We have the next two teams here.
We have GM versus Subpolar going at it. I don't know what to expect. I don't know that many teams personally, so I'm just hoping for a very explosive set as we saw in round 2. I do think that those teams very much excelled, but any comments from you, Yoshi?
I don't know these teams myself, but definitely interested to see. I think both of them I think one of them might be a pickup. I see a bit of a difference in tags on the left, whereas the right seems pretty consistent. Only exception, I guess, is Zombie, but it's very possible they just weren't able to change their name tag in time.
Exactly. The tags do seem very similar, so it may just be that Subpolar has their 5 members, which again might mean that they're more likely going to stick their comp round after round, whereas GM may be more open to switching it up after round.
Yeah, definitely be interesting to see. I think Subpolar, they may have more synergy, they may not. We'll have to see. Let's see. Looks like we're starting on Inkblot Tower. Classic map, Inkblot Tower. I'm sure anyone that was around in Splatoon 2 knows that in a comp scenario, this is a great map.
Yeah, it puts a focus on almost everywhere. Like, you have the little block to go and actually try and flank around and see if you're able to secure it. You have the left side rail, and you have the tower jump to be able to try and move around. And with the blocks in mid, it puts a very heavy need on being able to control those blocks and being able to control space, which I think we've seen teams do well in the past. So I'm wondering what these teams are going to be able to pull out in order to actually secure that momentum.
Indeed, indeed. I think one thing will be interesting is what power specials did they decide to use? I know Crab is really good on the 2 stacks, but I'm wondering if we'll see any Inkjets, any Zukas, you know? I'm curious what these comps will be, because if they can get some good momentum, hold those stacks early, and use one of those 3 specials, they could certainly get some good momentum at the start. I think Inkblot's certainly known for, if you can get the bats and you can control that plat area, you can get a really big push. But I think that extends for both teams. If a team isn't careful, they can totally get reverse swept.
Exactly. Inkblot is one of those maps where just because you have the lead doesn't mean you can just sit back and camp. You really have to keep on putting that pressure. And if you don't, like you mentioned, it's really easy to just see some pushback and another team being able to clutch up and see the light and come back after struggling the whole match. It's a very back and forth map. And even though at one times it may seem that one team is just absolutely controlling, no one's really out yet, especially on a map such as Inkblot.
Indeed. I think that makes Inkblot a really good map. A couple small slip-ups from your team, and it can be devastating, but the ability to come back on this map is what makes it so strong. We've seen higher-level teams before managing to reverse sweep several times. I think there were a few majors in the past where that happened, and it's always impressive whenever a team can make an epic comeback.
Exactly. That's what makes the team so exciting to view. Like, the nature of having that ability to come back at almost any time in the game in the next set is amazing to watch and amazing to see happen, especially live on stream or just watching back and seeing some very highlight moments of certain sets. So I think that's one of the most exciting parts of Splatoon, just to see that back and forth energy going, just seeing that happen and play out is so thrilling and exciting to see. And so I'm really excited for this map, and I'm curious how it's going to play out.
Indeed, indeed. Thankfully, while there is some randomness in Splatoon 3, there's a lot of ways to, have that skill and be able to just show your creativity and be able to express yourself as a team. Ooh, very interesting comps on both sides.
Exactly, we're seeing a Stamper Nouveau popping out on both sides, but every other weapon just isn't there. On the side of GM, we're seeing a Rapid Blaster Pro Deco, if I'm not mistaken.
That is. It looks like both teams are deciding to run backless. Looks like Subpolar's Stamper goes down a little early. That could be problematic. That means that their Crab is going to be delayed. GM potentially starting a push. Looking to build a Crab on the left side there. Let's see, do they pull it off?
They're trying to secure a lot of space. They're trying to just secure space before they're able to go in. And it does seem like they're able to do that with the Rapid Pro pressuring the S-Blast. Ooh, they do go down, unfortunately, though.
Big picks there, but there is a Booyah Bomb. Should stall the tower a little bit there, which is very useful in order to try and prevent a push. And they do, looks like they might prevent this push here, but we'll have to see. S-Blast really getting some great picks. Unfortunately, going down to the Rapid Pro. Looks like GM is going to be able to take space, but will they get... Oh, no, they do get collapsed on. Try managing to get a good trade there.
We're seeing this back and forth nature. Even though GM has the lead and has been providing a lot of pressure, they haven't really being able to get the push that they want. They haven't been able to get it, but they may now, especially since they're going down.
Nice
And the
Zuka
Zuka,
pick.
they're 3 down on the side of
Stamper
Subpolar.
rushing the tower, manages to push it back a bit. He's really causing some chaos, but they do collapse on him.
Exactly.
Crab top of bats. Very useful play there. Unfortunately, I think the crab went down, but it probably managed to allow them to get a little bit of space. Though it does look like their push is unfortunately ending here, and Subpolar has managed, I think, no, it's still being pushed? No, it looks like they're about to restabilize here.
That push is dead. Subpolar is officially regaining mid and trying to take back control, making sure that they don't get collapsed on like they did previously. The try, oh, never mind. They go to down. The crab has to come out to try and retain space, but they get shredded, and that's a wipeout for GM. GM may be able to get a bigger push than expected. Now the Zuka
comes out,
trying to get more picks, getting one, getting two.
Definitely good.
Down.
That was a direct. There's another one. It's only the S-Blast, and unfortunately it goes down. Crab comes out a little early, but I think it's going to do its job perfectly, preventing Subpolar from being able to drop. Stamper comes in, but feeds, unfortunately. And there goes one of them jumping out. They do have one saving grace. The strikes are coming out. Can they stall the tower enough to restabilize?
I don't think so. They were able to stall the tower, but even with the side of GM being 2 down, I don't know if they're going to be able to stop the tower, and they aren't. They struggle to get out, even with using their specials, and they weren't able to secure the tower in time. Sadly, for Subpolar, this game does go to GM.
Indeed. I think Subpolar really wanted to focus on that tower cheese, having both strikes and Booyah Bomb, but I just don't think they had the material or the communication in order to really take the space they needed. They really needed to rely more on their coordination because they had fewer power specials.
Exactly. I think what the defining moment of the game was after we saw Subpolar try and regroup after they got rid of GM out of their base. We saw that GM was just able to turn around and got a wipeout with almost little to no specials, and we saw that Subpolar just couldn't retaliate even after using specials of their own. So hopefully going into Umami zones, we're going to see Subpolar try and hold that space more, especially since this is definitely like a hold, like it's literally just you want to hold space. So hopefully Subpolar can do a better job of that going into the next game.
Indeed, indeed. I think people were a little surprised to see Umami put so high on some tier lists recently, but after playing the map a little more, my thoughts on it have definitely gone up. I think Umami Zones is actually a fairly solid map. Unique thing about it, it's one of the few zones maps to have multiple zones, and I would argue it probably does the multiple zone thing the best. It's going to be pretty hard to cheese a map like this, just due to the fact that, only really Tri-Strike could really cheese it due to having multiple projectiles. So it's really going to be it's going to really be up to the team's coordination to be able to get both those zones and then push up to try and hold that space.
Exactly. Both zones make it really fun to navigate, jumping from side to side. And even though Umami just does really center around the mid, it's still a very good mid to transverse. And we're seeing a Dread coming up from the blue team. Very interesting pick here. We've seen Dread come up in the topic discussions, and so to see it come out from Subpolar, it's going to be very interesting.
Indeed. Something I have heard is that some of the low-ing teams that have been winning recently have used a Dreadbringer. Dreadbringer has been described as being able to hold space and map control very well. And I think on a map like this could be very practical. And it does look like they're seeing success so far, managing to get a nice retake there. GM not being able to get too many points.
Now we're just seeing Subpolar trying to hold space. They're doing a very good job of it, even with the Zuka. Oh, the Zuka does claim a pick.
Ooh, that's 2 picks.
Unfortunately, might have to back up, but the Dread does get 1, but that's not enough. It seems like GM will be able to cap the zone as a result.
Great job on GM there, managing to avoid a potentially very dangerous situation. They have a massive advantage here with their being able to build up specials freely. Looks like they're trying to build a Zuka up right at the moment. Probably want to use it after that crab is gone. Let's
And they
see.
do get a pick on the Zap, which means there's not going to be any coolers for Subpolar for at least a little bit. And they
Indeed.
get another. They're just like they just keep on gaining that momentum, as we saw in the first game that they're just locking out Subpolar. Subpolar's kind of struggling to actually get in and waste specials. The specials aren't getting enough values they want. However, they do get 2 down. And
Well,
will
but
Subpolar be able to push in,
unfortunately,
though?
the splash kind of rushes in there a little too early. It gets taken down. It's unfortunately 2 members with very little time remaining. They really need to try and make a play here. But that crab, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it seems like Subpolar's struggling even more than on the tower control game, and unfortunately, that's game. After we see them regroup after the very neutral start, it seems that they weren't able to grab their bearings, and unfortunately lost this game too, very with a very dominant presence from GM, ironically.
Indeed, indeed. I think definitely a risk of Umami. It can be pretty lockout heavy. I think the defender geometry just really isn't there in your base. I do hope we see a map rework of this one day, but if you can use specials, you can retake and get mid. Certainly get some good things going, but unfortunately, Subpolar just didn't have the material in order to make such a play happen.
Exactly. On a map such as Umami, it's very essential to coordinate your specials to go in, since almost all the focus is entirely on mid unless you're being locked out. And I think even though Subpolar did have the specials, they weren't able, and they used it at similar times, they weren't able to coordinate it in a way to pressure GM out of like their little base, and therefore due to that they eventually just got locked out continuously and lost.
Indeed, indeed. I think definitely was interested to see the Dreadbringer come out, but I don't think they were able to capitalize on it too well. I think if you want to use a Dreadbringer, you really want to follow that up with some nice chip damage comps. I think a good weapon would be the pencil. I know pencil's strong, but it does 68 damage. That combos very nicely with a Dreadbringer. I have actually used different weapon, Rapid Blaster, with pencil, and I think very effective there. So I can see Dread filling in a similar role. Um, does look
Now we're
though.
also
All right. Does look though we are going on to Robo Rainmaker. Definitely, Rainmaker very fast paced, and I think Ramen, the new map, showing a lot of promise as being arguably one of the better maps in the series. So very interested to see how both teams will play it.
Exactly. I think it's one of those modes where it's not necessarily about holding space, but how you're going to use the space that you already have, since it's a very back and forth mode. So it's going to be interesting to see both these comps. We're seeing a vanilla Rapid Pro Deco, and we're seeing another. We're seeing a Rapid Pro
Ooh.
Deco on both sides. Very interesting.
And I'm sure some people will be happy, but that's a gold dynamo there. You don't see it too often, but it did recently get a buff, being more consistent with its horizontal swing. And I'm interested to see how well both teams will be able to use these weapons.
Exactly, especially with Dynamo's buff, it will be able to hit over those little ledges, and that may be very advantageous to stopping the Rainmaker, as we just saw with the Rainmaker being stopped right then and there.
Indeed, indeed. Looks like the Dynamo should be able to lock that down, hopefully allowing the rest of the team to regain some crucial space. Ooh, but goes down to the hammer and allows them to... Looks like GM grabbing the checkpoint. Massive on this map.
Exactly. Checkpoints really fast on this map, so to be able to see a claim that early can be detrimental, since those pushes can go very fast, as we see GM extending the VAC, literally defending
no.
them. They may knock out.
Oh, the down to 1 point, crucial clutch there. Unfortunately, the VAC hitbox being a little jank, and the Dynamo can't get the VAC there in a timely manner. Definitely a risky thing on this map, very snowball heavy, and you can really use the Rainmaker to lock out key defender positions. Though, looks like that wasn't necessary on GM's case.
Exactly. We saw GM get to 1 in less than a minute, essentially, and now we see them have map control again, not being afraid to go in and get a bit dangerous with this Wiper, not being afraid to go in and accelerate their position, trying to make sure that they can KO this time, giving Subpolar 0 chances to recover.
Indeed, I think Wiper was the perfect choice to just go in and be an annoying little rat. Managing to use that hammer definitely can be really devastating against the right weapon.
And we just
And
saw how devastating that truly was, with the game being over as we speak due to the fast nature of the VAC and the continuous pushes from GM. We saw the game be over in a snap of a finger, just showing how much pressure GM truly provided in that game.
indeed, I think you really have to be careful to not go down early, especially on Ramen. If the enemy team can get a nice sustained push, it's really hard to come back. And unfortunately, Subpolar, I think Subpolar's been struggling with retakes, and I don't think this is any different.
Exactly. I definitely thought that I think that there was definitely a lot of hope for Subpolar, especially after they stopped the Rainmaker at 1. However, they couldn't fully articulate a push, sadly, and therefore we just saw GM come in with their special presence, just sending the Wiper in and making sure that they had that back option open to be able to push in and just stop any chance of Subpolar. We just saw that continually happen whenever GM pushed in, and that's why we saw GM win that in such a fast manner, especially with VAC being very good on Rainmaker.
Indeed, indeed. I do hope, Subpolar, as their name suggests, I really hope they can manage to turn up the heat in these next couple group rounds. Also, as I've been saying, I would implore both teams to review these games. I think even if you win a set, you still made mistakes in your set that you can definitely learn from. We have probably the best replay feature in the entire Splatoon series, and I do hope both teams can take advantage of that. It even got buffed a little bit with that new stats thing by pressing the right button. So
Exactly. I think that reviewing sets after is a very good way to actually process what you want to do and how you want to excel in future games, because ultimately Splatoon is about how you move and how you can use that movement to your advantage. So being able to just improve how you play and how you coordinate with your teammates is always an essential skill to have. Even if you win, you could maybe you won closely and you could make that a more dominant win. There's always room to improve regardless of whatever level you're at, and I think that all teams use it. I try and VOD review a lot. I encourage anyone to VOD review a lot to try and do their games. I just think that VOD reviewing is very essential, and accepting that constructive criticism to actually improve is really important in a game such as Splatoon, where a lot of things change rapidly.
indeed, I mean, with us getting a balance patch every 1.5 months, getting new content every 3 months, it may seem slow, but a few months can go away in a blink of an eye, and there's always the potential for change. Definitely would implore teams to keep improving, but make sure to do your pre-game prep as well. A good map plan and just a good plan in general can really help in those key moments where you have a split second to make your decision.
Exactly. Being able to coordinate with your team and plan out your mode of attack before the game actually starts can be essential in the crucial moments, like you mentioned, since those crucial moments can just determine a win/loss right then and there. And so being able to determine the right decision, even though it's hard, can be very easy. Even though it's hard to determine, it can be very easy if you plan ahead for the situation. And even though this game is unpredictable at times, as we know, Nintendo does have a bit of problems with its internet connections. Even though it's unpredictable, we do have to try and make sure that we can limit that unpredictability as much as we can, especially in a team setting where we know who we're working with.
Of course, I mean that peer-to-peer connection, quite an old system. Maybe one day they'll switch to servers and we'll all be on Cloud9, but I wouldn't get my hopes up and just try to manage with what we have now. But indeed, I think even moving beyond the latency, there's a lot of randomness in this game, jump RNG, Zuka's hitbox being kind of janky. And yeah, that little bit of latency can really make things look weird on your side, but definitely important to not panic, keep a level head, and try and stick to a plan if you can. But don't be afraid to break those plans as well. Definitely be interesting if we see any cool hero plays. I think we've seen a couple small ones, but I think too big. So curious if we'll see anything in the next round coming up soon.
Hero plays are just, I think, one of the most exciting things about Splatoon, because it inherently shows that you're trying to use your position to inherently make your advantage state or your get rid of your disadvantage state. You're trying to do one of those two things. And when a hero play works, I think it just shows how their position and skill level actually is like it's coming to fruition because they're using that to their advantage to be able to secure space for their team by going in ironically alone. And I think that's a huge strength that Splatoon has over a lot of other team-based games because generally you aren't able to make those same plays that you are in Splatoon. And I feel like Splatoon has the edge in that, especially in like the movement department, which allows it to be so fluid when you're actually making those plays.
Yeah, I think probably one of the better changes when coming from 2 to 3 is that the game feels like, while it's still very team structured, you can make a lot of individual plays that can have a big impact. And I think that can also really help for team morale, getting that clutch play, having that mini celebration in a game. It can be a perfect thing to lift a team's spirits, which with mental is such an important thing in these games. If you lose a set, if and your mental gets destroyed, it can be devastating.
Exactly. Like mental is one of the most important things in arguably any sense because without a proper mental state, or at least your mental being solid enough to continue forward, you're just going to give up. You're going to struggle, or you're not going to be able to understand or want to go on. And I think that Splatoon or any video game for that example shows that if you aren't willing to better yourself, you're eventually just not going to enjoy the game that you started to love. And I see that happening. I see people struggle with mental all over. I've seen it happen in my team. I've seen it happen in other teams. And I think that essentially you just need to make sure that you can keep your mental up while helping your team's morale and mental. And like you mentioned, being able to secure those hero plays and have that opportunity open and celebrating with your team makes it worth it. It makes you feel happy to just be a part of the team and celebrate with them. And I think that's one of the key things that the Splatoon community brings, and that is a community that we can all celebrate and be happy with.
Yeah, I love the being able to celebrate and the camaraderie of winning games. It's certainly great when you can pull things through, but I do think the journey definitely can't be undersold as well. Having those, putting in that dedication and scrims, the new Sendo queue system, a lot of work gets put in behind the scenes so that way when they show up, these teams are ready to roll and want to put on a show. And it's great to be able to watch that.
Exactly. I think that, especially with all the resources coming out, I think that it opens up the door of opportunities for people to excel and actually show their skills off. And Splatoon has been the most expressive of that in many different ways. There's a lot of viable weapons that are strong right now. And I think that Splatoon does a very excellent job of making sure that you can play in your play style and you can excel in your team setting. And I think that's what makes Splatoon such a really interesting game in itself, is that the exploration with its team dynamic while also still valuing how you do as an individual and seeing that rapid change between, oh, you have to play as a team, you have to play as an individual, you have to play as both. Like, to see that happen so fast, it's just what makes Splatoon such an interesting game in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think communication and being able to see the game state is so important. I think probably the most important thing is having good communication. This game is so noisy, there's so much going on that being able to have four heads instead of one is such a huge asset. And of course, your mechanics are always good, but I think a solid team, being able to pick up the slack of members, as your skill will fluctuate over time, but as a collective, you can be super strong.
Exactly. Like members bring different things to the table. Not everyone's going to be the same mechanically. Not everyone's going to be the same call out wise. Not everyone's going to be the same mental wise. Like everyone is a different individual. And Splatoon, I think Splatoon teams need to acknowledge that. Like talking from personal experience, I would say I'm not the strongest mechanically on my team, and I think definitely think that falls to other members. However, I definitely feel like I'm like the moral support. I'm cheering on my team. I'm making sure that we can continue onwards, which is arguably just as important, even though like if you aren't able to go on, it doesn't matter what your mechanics are if we aren't able to have the proper mindset going in. And I think that's true for all teams. Like you need to have members balance each other out, like make sure that you can work on one department, I can work on another, so that we can work together well. Like you want to have that balance so that your team can excel in your own way, because every team is ultimately different and has different ways of approaching that.
Indeed, I think you're really got to express your individuality and your creativity. You know, every team's unique, and I think that's great. You know, we able to see so many different minds being able to pool their thoughts and ideas in order to, you know, really make this game what it is. You know, sure, we have a meta, we have tier lists, but don't feel afraid to, you know, experiment a little bit, try some unique stuff. I mean, we saw some non-meta picks there. We got Dynamo, Rapid Pro, and I think that's really good. All weapons are reasonably viable and to some degree, and you know, you could surprise your opponent with something a little out of the norm.
Exactly. Like surprising your opponent is a key part because if your opponent isn't ready for what you have to throw down, that automatically gives you an advantage. And I think especially with all the weapons available, there is something for even the worst of weapons to build a comp around. Think of like undercover clash blast. You can build comps around those, and even though it may not be the strongest comp, ultimately you can make sure that your team is ready to handle those weaknesses that those weapons have so your team can excel. Just because a weapon is bad doesn't mean you shouldn't be afraid to use it. And even though it's bad, you shouldn't be discouraged at all. You need to be able to play what you want and make sure your team can accommodate that in a way that makes not only you thrive but the whole team thrive.
Of course, you know, don't compromise your identity for other people. Like, sure, it's fair. You need to have a degree of flexibility because you are on a team. But, you know, at the same time, you do need to have fun. And if you're not having fun, I do implore you maybe take a break, reevaluate your position, switch things up, you know. When you're having fun, you're going to learn a lot better, you're going to play better. You know, you're not going to like lose that momentum as easily. Your mental just will be better. I think that's super important to have.
Exactly. I think that having fun, regardless of what you're doing, is just a key thing to have. Like, having fun can help you throughout all parts of life, whether that's in school, outside of school. You always want to make sure that you are enjoying yourself because YOLO, you only live once. Like, you have to make sure that you can put the time and effort into the places that you want. And I think that the people watching and us commentating show that we're here to enjoy this love of Splatoon, like the people who behind the scenes working, like we are here to celebrate our love for Splatoon, and we don't want to give that up. Like we want to have fun, and ultimately, that's what makes this community thrive, and I think that's what makes teams thrive as well.
Of course, you know, we all have an incredible passion. I think even, you know, when you're on social media, you see people criticizing the game, it's because they love the game. They want to see this be the best game it could possibly be. And I do hope that the developers are listening to us and that they make that a reality, you know. We've seen plenty of fantastic improvements to this game over time, quality of life and just in strength in general. And well, thankfully, it looks like round four is going to be starting soon here. You know, I hope our motivational speeches were just what you guys needed to get ready for this round four here.
Exactly, and ironically, speaking of the Splatoon Des, we have Splatoon 2 Pickup versus Blackout. Very interesting names here. Really love them.
Yeah, indeed. I think I might have seen that Miyabi person in Sendo Q. Not might not be the same person, but definitely could be interesting. I don't know too much about them, but be interesting to see how all these players play. Looks like we got a team, and yeah, a pickup. You know, I have to wonder, is that Splatoon 2 homaging to something? You know, maybe we'll see some old Splatoon 2 weapons come back.
Now
Oh.
with the map list, we're going to be starting on Manta Maria Clan Blitz. Ironically, a Splatoon 2 map. Maybe this will swing in favor of Splatoon 2 pickup, but who knows? The game is very dynamic. We could see things change rapidly on course. So very excited to see how this is going to play out on Manta Maria. Not one of my favorite maps personally, but I do think it's a very interesting clanless map that can go back and forth, especially being the only version of this map with actually a block flank on each side.
Oh, indeed. That block flank should really be all modes. But I mean, I'm personally more of a fan of Manta Maria. I don't know why. I just guess maybe it's my nostalgia talking. But I always thought it was an interesting map. Curious to see what weapons we have. You know, Manta known for its mid having those grates atop, wrapping around the pole. So I'm interested to see, will we see any mobile backlines trying to take advantage of that?
I think that the most popular backline usually for Manta Maria is usually a ballpoint because it's really able to excel with grades and is able to just hold that space. However, with the rise of pencil, people may be more incentivized to just run a pencil instead because it can hold a lot of space and can test that ballpoint very easily. And so it's going to be probably like pick your poison. Like, do you want the ballpoint that's able to move around and be able to control a lot of space, or do you want that pencil that is able to get cooler really fast and having to maybe not as dominantly control grades, but has more winning matchups into backlines and can provide you that cooler option? It's ultimately going to come down to which team's preference, as we see on this map.
Indeed, indeed. I think another good thing to note, Pencil has a pretty good matching up into Ballpoint specifically. I know Ballpoint does have some map advantages, but it'll be interesting to see which one each team goes with, or maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe they'll do some backlists. Maybe we'll see something a little unconventional, you know? This is that low to mid rank here, you know? So curious to see what we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely think that depending on like how teams feel, it could definitely impact comps because there are even some teams that don't run cooler right now. And I think that the fact that those people are not afraid to not run cooler just shows the viability of different options right now and how even without cooler somehow teams can still somehow find ways to thrive. And so I'm really curious to see how that can play out on maps such as Mana Maria and Sturgeon, since those are Splatoon 2 maps that are now into Splatoon 3. So with a heavy focus on mid play, it's going to be really interesting to see how these fights actually shake out with these new developments coming in.
Of course, of course. Um, Also curious to know, will we see any experimentation come from these players? Haven't seen too much in the last couple games, maybe the odd one, but I'm curious what we'll see here. I mean, one thing I will note, maybe Splatoon 2 pickup will grab maybe a Wiper Deco, bring some missiles back. You know, we all love missiles. I bring it up because
one of the favorite specials.
yeah, though I bring it up more because of the beacons, a bit of a staple on Manta Maria, especially given how long the map is.
It's very fair. We're going to see the comps coming out on each side.
All right, let's see what we got.
Ooh, we're gonna
Okay.
see a Slosher and a Tetris, so a very aggressive comp on one side, and we're seeing a Tent coming out, a backless comp on this one. Very interesting, especially for Manta Maria, to see a backless comp coming out on the yellow team.
Of course, but no, you can't deny the power of a Tentabella on this map. I mean, they can certainly get some good power if they set up on the grates properly. I think they may be backless, but that tent is really strong.
Is very true. If they're able to set up properly, they may be able to get in well. However, their team does go down. It seems like they're 3 down, and their shot is able to fight at the moment. However, their
Does have
Wiper
a
is
Zuka.
trying to go in.
The
There's-
Zuka does get a pick on one of them. That is clutch. No Zuka for the enemy team. It looks like the tent does go down, but I think they will hold them out. Hopefully they don't let them in the street. I mean, that street's a really key position to take. And oh, there's the
Oh, but it
re-slider.
does seem like the Tetris is going to re-slider and be able to clear some area in the street, getting a pick and securing some space. Even though the yellow team is cooler, the Tetris is providing enough pressure to allow them to get the ball in and potentially secure more claims if they can get a clear path for the shot, which they do. Seems like they're going to be able to continue this push a decent bit as well.
Never underestimate the Tetris. Took 3 players to take him down. They distracted 2 players for a long time. Thankfully for Yellow, they weren't able to capitalize, or Blue wasn't able to capitalize too much, but it does look like they still have mid, which is certainly very valuable for them.
Exactly. Mid is a very scary thing on this map, especially since the blue team has a pencil. They are able to contest a lot of the range, and that therefore this makes it a very scary adventure for the yellow team, especially since the blue team has a very good flank and is able to go around. However, they do miss the ball, sadly, so this does mean that this may not be as successful, but they do eventually get the ball in.
Unfortunately, they need to get more clams. They don't have any at the moment, so I'm not sure if they're gonna get anything else. Doesn't look like it. Definitely bit of a blunder there, but shouldn't be too costly as long as they can still hold space. Though it looks like
Exactly.
Blackout trying to go for trying to retake mid here. Both teams have numbers, so we'll see how this progresses.
Very interesting way. We're actually seeing a very even setup here with both teams being 2 down at one point, and now the blue teams be able to push up in mid due to this advantage. They're just trying to continually hold that space and make sure that the yellow team isn't able to regroup. Yellow team does have missiles from the Wiper Deco and is setting up beacon, so hopefully they're able to push in with that. Missiles are coming out from the yellow team. They may just try and use this as an opportunity to push. The Slosher does go down as a result.
Ooh, and the Tetris too. That's big. Blackout has an opportunity here. We'll see how they manage to take it. Tetris are back in though. They do have Slider as well. Could go for a Hail Mary play. And it looks like the 10 does go down. Yeah, that is unfortunate. I think that 10 to barrel really needs to be the thing that they play around, and unfortunately, I don't know how well they're capitalizing off it.
Yeah, it's very sad. Strikes are coming out from the Slosher on the side of blue team and Cooler as well. The blue team is looking set up for a very nice push if they're able to get more space going. And we see a Reslider coming out, securing a pick. It does seem like they will be able to continue to push. However, they do that a ton of
Oh, but the Wiper
they have
gets
a
two!
wipeout.
The wipe, honestly, even though the Wiper did go down, they managed to secure a pretty good clutch there. Barely managing to hold on. They really needed that.
Exactly, that space was essential to take. That Wiper really helped, because if it was not for that Wiper, the shot would have just had free reign to score as much as they want. And now on the side of the yellow team, we're seeing their clear up. We're finally seeing that 10 umbrella come into use, trying to clear street, and now trying to move in further to get more space.
Indeed. Looks like they have some potential here. If that 10 can get set up and just start putting some pressure down, this could be massive. We got Azuka coming out on the 10, but unfortunately they do go down. Might get a lead here. They need one more clam.
Ooh, they need one more clam.
There is one on the
There
bucket,
it
and they
is.
get it. They don't get the buckets clam, but they managed to sneak one in, which is really good. Down to 53. 40 seconds remaining, but that's not a large lead. Definitely anyone's game still.
Exactly. We're seeing both teams trying to contest mid. However, yellow team does have the advantage. And after that push and with a decent-sized clam economy, it does seem like they're trying to waste clams while retaining the ball. Looks like they're trying to go all in on defense, not wanting to overextend these very last crucial moments.
Indeed, indeed. I think like Blackout's best play is probably try and prevent the other team from getting clams if possible. There are techniques to do that, but let's see if they manage to utilize some of them.
I don't know if it's necessarily working though, especially since it seems like the blue team's just trying to continue that momentum, and it seems to be working with the Tetris getting solid picks and
almost go off though.
Jump.
Oh, but the Tetris using the shark to get the ball in for a little bit of cheese there.
One more
They
claim,
need one more. They get it.
is. Game is over just like that. They only need one more clam after that ball jump in. The Tetris being able to secure a very nice position, displacing the yellow team and allowing their team to come in clutch and being able to get that clam.
Yeah, excellent play on the Tetris there. I thought they were going to go and get a pick, but that was a much, much more valuable play there. I think, like, excellent job on both teams, you know. Clams, probably one of the maps with some of the most depth. I mean, definitely some interesting strategies is trying to hold on to clams, prevent the other team from getting them on defense, but unfortunately, I don't think Blackout was too successful at holding space, which is unfortunate for them.
I think the very sad thing for Blackout is that I think that they wasted their potential a bit too early, because we saw them throwing clams, but then they also had a ball. So it seemed like they were trying to not only hold clams, but also start a push in like both ways. Maybe they just wanted a ball, but also like they had a very sad story with the Zap getting, I believe, shot by Azuka, and unfortunately not being able to hold space after that, and they just got wrecked by the Tetras due to the fact that they weren't able to properly hold space and deny the Tetras that space, allowing for the Splatoon 2 pickup to just eventually get in.
Indeed. I mean, you got to be really careful on clams. The economy is everything. One thing I will note, if you're on defense trying to stop a push, be careful about making a power clam. It'll actually lower the total number of clams on the map, and it leads to more spawns. It leads to more spawns. Which, I mean,
Exactly.
that
With more spawns, that means that the enemy team has more of an opportunity to make a ball and prepare that counter push against you, making it easier for them to build that claim economy, which can be very difficult to build. So you're just giving them easier access. And especially as we saw in that game, we saw Splatoon 2 pickup had the momentum. And now heading
Indeed.
into game Sturgeon Shipyard Tower Control, that's going to be very interesting.
Ooh, we got a machine coming out. Haven't seen too much of machine, but I'd argue it's still a pretty strong weapon. It's on both sides. Pretty similar comps. Main difference is one is a Tetra, the other is a Stamper. Very curious to see how both will play around that.
We do see someone going on the left side from Blackout trying to get early picks most likely, and they do with the shot going down. However, the machine is here trying to clutch up some fights. However, can we do that? They cannot. Blackout does get an early advantage because this pencil is the only one left on the side of Splatoon 2 pickup.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, they don't have a lot of numbers. They really need to work on getting specials here if they want to kill the momentum from Blackout. It seems that, you know, maybe Manto is just a weak map for Blackout. They're doing a fantastic job right now with stalling that Booyah Bomb. Still in play.
Yeah, we're seeing Splatoon 2 pickup being able to clean out this fight and try and stop the momentum that Blackout had with that very excellent push this early on with less than a minute. Getting the 33 is really huge on a map such as Sturgeon, so this could be very easy. And now we're seeing a Booyah Bomb from Splatoon 2 pickup trying to recover that lost space.
Indeed. Oh, unfortunately, the Zuka does go down, not managing to get much value. But they traded out with the Tetras there, so that's certainly decent. You know, 33, solid push, but you have to be careful. That can easily flip around. And it does look like... unfortunately, Splatoon 2 pickup running out of momentum at a key moment there. They do... The pencil's still alive, though, so they will get a cooler back up, which is certainly good for their team. Oh,
exactly,
but
cooler...
all the way on the high ground. I question why the cooler's all the way up there. A little bit harder for their team to get it, but I suppose maybe they wanted some jumps to go there. Either way, Blackout is holding map control again. There's a flank from the shot, though. Manages to stall the tower. Will Blackout notice? Will they go back? Unfortunately, they do not, getting collapsed out. And they're unable to lower their points anymore.
Very nice with that. Being able to collapse on those enemies and try and get a pick. We see the machine getting a nice pick on the pencil on the left side, being able to secure a pick. Very nice so that the other team won't have cooler as much, or at least as frequently right now with the pencil going down.
Indeed. Looks like Splatoon 2 pickup has a lot of specials, but they popped a ton of them, only opting to just keep the Zuka around. With needing such a sustained push, it's a risky play. See if it pays off.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it will, especially with their team going down, especially since the shot gets 2 picks, one on the shot, one on the pencil, and then the shot, so leading to Blackout being able to secure some space. And we see the Tetris doesn't, even though the Tetris does secure a trade, it's not necessarily worth it, as we see Splatoon 2 pickup struggling to get back in again.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, a trade can be useful, but if your opponent has a better game state, they much prefer that trade over you. So you really need to be careful when you're in a disadvantageous situation. Seems Blackout back on the offensive. Oh, but their pencil does go down. I think that's another one too. They might opt to just retreat, try and hold space here instead. Smart of the machine to jump out after they almost get caught out. Allows them to hold their Booyah, potentially stopping push in the future.
Yeah, it does seem like Splatoon 2 pickup is trying to keep up this momentum. It does not seem like they're slowing down, especially with the machine almost having Booyah Bomb, trying to make sure that they can continue this momentum. However, it's only the shot. Sadly, it does seem like this push is going to die. Unfortunate here. Yeah, that's a wipe out there.
However, one thing to note, they got both checkpoints in that push. They only need one more decent push in order to get down to the final one. So, teams have a very good chance of winning with a minute remaining. They need to be careful with how they play here.
Exactly. It's most likely going to be allow for one more push for each side most likely. So hopefully we can see Splatoon 2 Pickup be able to come in and be able to clutch up as we see them do right now. We see them be able to turn on the offense and being able to excel their lead, trying to obtain the lead now, potentially in overtime, as we see they use their specials.
That is huge, but one thing to note, I speak a little too soon. The machine just went down. But
the Stamper jumps on them.
Flanking Stamper potentially big, pushes the tower back a little bit. They do go down, but it gives them crucial breathing room.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Blackout here can continue their hold, especially since they're now 2 down again. It does not look like they're able to. Will they be able to claim tower in time to be able to avoid this game, to avoid just a 2-0 here? I don't know if they'll be able to. Oh, it does not look like they will.
Unfortunately not. I think even if they had the tower, there's a Booyah right in the air, ready to just destroy anyone that gets on the tower. Definitely between a rock and a hard place there. Unfortunately, losing at the very last second.
Exactly. I think Splatoon 2 Pickup had a really excellent source of momentum. They were just keeping on getting those picks and making sure that Blackout wasn't able to continue pushing in. And with that last second Booyah Bomb, even if Blackout did eventually come out, they would have just been shut down by the Booyah Bomb and wouldn't have been able to push. So very good on Splatoon 2 Pickup there. I think Blackout was struggling a bit to regroup.
Indeed. I think Blackout got a little greedy towards the end, trying to go for another push, but it ultimately cost them almost all their resources, forcing them to scramble when it was really not the time. And I think, Splatoon 2 Pickup was really able to capitalize off that panic and managed to get in a lot of space.
Exactly. That space was very essential in the last second. Being able to secure picks after picks and make sure that the other team was not able to recover is really important. And to see it happen was really good for Splatoon 2 Pickup. And now we're going to see them all very small.
I think you're breaking up a little bit there. You might want to reset that quickly. Either way, I think we're going into Mahi Mahi. I think after the rework, this became a really solid map. Being able to utilize the islands much better has really made retake a lot more solid on this map. I'm curious to see how both teams structure their comp in order to try and secure a win here. I think could see anything from either team. I think Blackout was doing really well in that tower game. They may have lost at the end, but it was still very close.
Yeah, especially since we
I think your audio is still a little messed up there. I think maybe try restarting that. Yeah, I try restarting that. Looks like here, Blackout manages to get. Looks like we got a bit of a neutral game here, even though one team did go down at the start. Does look to be decent though. Still very back and forth right now. Both teams really even, which I think we like to see here. Though I think Splatoon 2 Pickup managing to get a hold here, very good on their part. But they have to be careful. A lot of specials on Blackout's side here. Zuka coming out. Oh, nice clutch by Miyabi there on the Tetras. Got a Booyah out, trying to prevent a potential advance.
And we see them shut down the Stamper new bow. Very huge, getting rid of that crab very early on. However, on the side of purple, we do see Azuka coming out and trying to secure a pick. However, they do not, unfortunately, and we see the Tetras jump on them right afterwards.
Indeed. I think they're in a great, Splatoon 2 Pickup's in a great situation right now. If you can hold while the water level's dropping, you can get a lot of points off that, and we really see them being able to do that.
Exactly, and now they have a Reslider, which will be able to potentially cap zone when they need it, and shut down at least one potential push. Oh my god!
Huge! The wipeout!
Getting
the kills that
they need, and that That's just game. The reslider just closing out the
Whoa.
game. They just weren't able. The other side just wasn't able to recover in time, especially with that reslider just getting rid of the crab and 2 players just was detrimental. And as we can see there, without that, that's just ended the game like that.
Oh, I know. Grabbing the crab and another player, really, that is an excellent play. It really shows you don't underestimate those Tetras. They are still strong. In the hands of the right player, ooh, they can do some damage.
Exactly, especially with like such a small zone as Mahi, having that reslider present there is essentially almost not a necessity, but it's really good for being able to push your team back in or stall the zone, or as we just saw, being able to close a pick in such an enclosed space that nobody can really move around from. And as we saw, it really can be detrimental since reslider can just break crab almost instantly, and with its huge AoE, if you aren't ready for it, it can be detrimental. And as we saw, it was very much so.
Indeed. I mean, I know Reef is often memed on as being the weakest special in the game, but just because it's the weakest doesn't mean that it can't do anything. If you're not careful, it can surprise you. And especially on a weapon like Tetra's, already a really solid main, really solid sub, and that the special, even though it's on the weaker side, you know, I don't think the weapon cares too much, and I think it can make some interesting things happen, even without a mega special.
Exactly. I think that even though it may be a bad special right now in the current meta, it doesn't necessarily mean it won't ever not get value or it won't have some kind of place to actually be used. For example, like Reslider is notoriously known for zones cheese, like you can very easily cheese zones. And if you see people in an enclosed area, it's going to be very easy for you to just use a Reslider and enclose them in that area, showing that even the worst of specials can have some impact on the game.
Of course, I think if your special is weak, don't take that. Don't be like, I can't use this at all. It just means you have to be a little more careful, a little more strategic about how you use it. Sure, you may not just kind of throw it out there and get a billion picks, but you know, there are those key moments, and if you keep your eye out, you'll find those opportunities and you'll get some great value.
Exactly. As we saw in the last game, it was very amazing to see that value get extended. And now we're just waiting for the brackets to be seeded since the Swiss stage, I believe, is almost close to being over. So hopefully we're going to see some very interesting things going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this was round 4, which is the last round of the Swiss. We're just it sounds like the last players have finished wrapping up, so we should see things being moved. We should see things being moved on to the next stage here. So I'm sure that'll be very interesting when that has started.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see all those games and being able to witness the games just going back and forth. All of these sets were very interesting in their own way, and I was glad to be able to commentate those matches with you.
Oh yeah, I think this was a great first experience. I think really enjoyed myself a lot, being able to see some clutch moments from these teams. I think maybe a couple sets there was what you could call a better team, but I think most of these were really close, and I think all teams should be proud of how they performed.
Exactly. I definitely think almost every team had those moments where they showed that they were able to show up and put up. And even though they may not have won the game, definitely think it shows that they have a lot of potential to grow in this scene, regardless if they're a pickup, regardless if they were an actual team. I think that all the teams that we watched today were very good in some way and were able to push in. And I think if they're able to find their strengths and avoid those weaknesses from happening again, we could definitely see those teams improving a lot in the future.
Oh, definitely. I think I do hope these teams look at this as another opportunity to improve, that they are reviewing those games, because I do think that, you know, with some small improvements, we could see some very interesting things come from some of these teams. You know, I really hope they don't underestimate themselves, because there's always potential. You know, I think like if you have the confidence, you can rise up really quickly, and I think that's something that's pretty cool about this game, you know?
Exactly, like being able to see the rapid pace at which teams grow
is very exceptional and very awesome to witness, especially in like real time when you're seeing these low level teams go in mid level, go into high level, go to top level. Like think of Octopi for example. Think of like the low ink winners that we see like go on and eventually like dominate the scene. Like I definitely think that this scene has a very like rapid growth acceleration, and I'm very proud of that, especially to just witness that happening. And we could be seeing that right now, especially with like the teams we witnessed going on to potentially play in the bracket and hopefully see them take it all. So I'm very thankful for this community and be able to see it grow at all times.
Oh, of course. I think the comp scene has really improved. I think Splatoon 3's really expanded things. I mean, just like top level, you see so many more teams than you ever did. And of course, Low Ink having so many teams in season 14. Even if, maybe some of them disbanded, I'm sure there was probably a ton of new teams popping up all over the place. And I think definitely interesting to see how these players or these teams move on. Um, definitely some real potential for obviously this set, but I mean for future ones as well.
Yeah, teams aren't really static. They change, they evolve, they dissolve, they are created. Like Splatoon isn't the Splatoon community isn't static. Whether you're a casual or competitive player, they aren't static. A lot of things are able to change. Whether you're playing for fun, playing for a competition, things are always changing in this game. And at such a rapid pace with all updates going around, it's very wonderful to try and see this community grow and develop into something that we can all eventually celebrate together as a community.
Indeed. I mean, I think Gem probably sum things up well. Where people are always coming and going, but as long as we can bring in more people, let this community grow, I think it'll turn into something special one day. We've already been seeing how big of a voice the Splatoon community can have recently, and I'm really excited to see how our own tournaments evolve, and also see maybe how more official tournaments evolve. We obviously had a big presence from the World qualifiers, and I do hope we see Worlds sometime later this year. And maybe Nintendo starts taking another look at us. Maybe they give us more big tournaments. Who knows?
Exactly. I think Nintendo as a whole needs to do more tournaments, and I'm definitely thankful for the opportunity to commentate and hopefully highlight what this community has to offer in terms of all aspects, whether that's producing, commentating, or playing. So I'm Xavier or X-Man303 signing off here for Coral Clash.
Yeah, and well, I be Yoshikai64 or just Yoshi, and also going to be signing off here. Thanks for listening to the two of us. I hope everyone watching has a good rest of their day.
Yeah, thank you all for watching, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the tournament. Good luck to any teams participating.
Indeed, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
We're rolling deep into your underground grip. Though the center prior notice caught for you. We wanna make this party you don't wanna skip. Gonna be a show to remember. Take over, start to boogie down. Make over, nothing's gonna take away my life. Was over when it started with that shoot at the white walking. I'm getting games over. You actually thought that you can get away with skeletons in your closet. Don't think so. We can't reveal the truth up to the public. Put your hands up, time to surrender. Take over, start to put it down. Makeovers, nothing's gonna fit the way my life was over when it started with that shoot of a white walk thing. I say it's over. We do not live by your rules, dirty work. Your ego has driven you out of truth. You only played yourself, got no game, serving you right. Say your
And welcome back to Coral Clash High Tide number 5. I'm Bryce, and we are here with Gold Bracket. First up, we have the match between that Dog Ginme and Time Crunch Part 2. I am personally not the most familiar with all these team members, but several of their roster members should be familiar to anyone who's been in the scene for a while. We've got players like Bubbles, that dog Finmay, and we've also got Rose from Octopi, I believe, on Time Crunch Part 2. We've got some pretty good players there, and this should be some fun battles here to kick off the bracket. As for our maps, we've got first up Humpback Pump Track Rainmaker, followed by Scorched Clans and Mako Tower. Humpback Rainmaker is a good old classic. You've got the main push via Rise and try and get past Elbow and hopefully push through. It's a good easy one, nice and straightforward, but also a bit obvious. So if you want to be sneaky, you might try to go via the left-hand side and jump over. And of course, as always, there's a lot of ramps and slopes with Humpback. Makes it a good map for buckets. So as a personal bucket user, that's fun. And it will be curious to see how teams handle this rather interesting terrain. Also plenty of starting spots, so we might see a carbon or two come out, depending on who uses carbon on these teams. So yes, we've got a pretty good lineup here, and we also do see Time Crunch Part 2. Beg your pardon? Yeah, and we also got a roster up. Yeah, so the roster for Time Crunch Part 2 is a bit larger, so they might have some substitutions throughout, so it'll be interesting to see how they can use that to adapt to the different map styles. After all, big difference between Humpback and Scorch. And so that'll be interesting to see how they can use that to their advantage. Well, that dog Finmay doesn't actually have that much ability to adjust. They only have 4 players on their roster, so any adjustments they make will be to their personal weapons. Everyone's gearing up at the moment, and we should get into these matches soon. And we'll see how teams approach Humpback Pump Track. And we'll see who gets the early lead. See some good maps here. Yeah, so Humpback, fun little map. Did see a return from Splatoon 2 a while back as well, and we also see, again, Scorch and Mako, just to quickly talk about them. They're also good old classics that have been around in Splatoon 3 for a while, since the start, and Splatoon 2 was where Mako was introduced, so it's good to see Mako keep coming forth and remain popular as well, even with strong new contenders coming to the map list. Mako still remains strong as ever, so that will be... Hopefully we'll get to it in order to see some good games there, because, as always, it's a little bit tricky when it's a best of 3. And we are entering our Humpback Rainmaker match. On the side of Dog, we see a Carbon pull out, yes. And we also see Double Bucket on the side of the other team. And we see them all start up. Everyone heading straight to zone for the most part. A bit of flanking around by the Carbon though, getting set up. We'll see whether they can get anything done. Everyone's coming back, and the NZAP's already down. And we also see Petra's down. Petra's going down is not that surprising, but the NZAP going down, that's going to be an issue for the other team. Ooh, but Time Crunch have gotten the first pickup. Will they be able to push in though? No, they've fallen back. Oh, nope, pushing in. It's going to be tricky. They're pinned there, though. And yes, they do go down. We can see that the Carbon does have a Zuka, though. So that plus the Popson should mean a good push by that dog. Will they be able to execute it, though? Especially because they... Oh, no, they don't. The Rainmaker goes down just to the pedestal. And then 2 down. Carbon managed to... Ooh, Carbon did not quite get out. That's the commentator's curse there. We can see everyone resetting. The Time Crunch is already laying on the pressure, and they've got two specials out, and both are popped. We'll see what they can forge, and we do see the first one down.
Hello there. I come back now. We needed a second commentator.
Good to see you back, and for this whole match, as Time Crunch has already broken through first set, and they're pushing back. That dog are pushing in.
Ah, that's interesting. Alright.
So that dog don't have many specials, but they do have the vac, which could be critical. And the Zuka did get popped, and not no real picks there.
Ooh. Members there. Ooh, a lot of members down. Just the shot. Carbon running him down. Does get taken down, though. Looks like they're about to go in with the vac for a lot of points.
Yes, and the vac has gotten us that many points. They're down to 25, 15-point lead, and that is an excellent push on this map past elbow.
Indeed, and it looks like they're doing the smart thing, backing up to control mid. They recognize the push is being over. Does look like might have a potential breakaway. Oh, okay, no, he backs up. Smart thing to do. Don't rush in.
Yeah, like that thing going the far right can work and gives you high ground. Pretty much as many you can actually push past though.
Looks like we got a flank from the Carbon though. Zuka coming out, gets one, maybe another. Still big play there.
Opened up the Rainmaker as well. That's a good pick by the Carbon, and there's...
He's still doing more. I think also got the Tetras down too. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Looks like they're setting up for another push of the back.
Yes, so will the strike get him? No, in fact, Time Crunch loses one. This is a good opportunity to push in, especially with back still. Ooh, too late though.
Still very, very good with the Zuka there, managing to stop the Rainmaker. That could have been disastrous. Very good clutch on their part.
Yes, an excellent clutch to save them from losing any more points.
Alright, let's see. Trying to take things slow, looking for some picks. Good, they shut the Carbon down there. Though the Rainmaker...
And the quick breakaway...
Breakaway doesn't work out for them. Yeah, definitely risky there, dropping it off.
Yes, the health is resetting, but when you're already behind, it can sometimes be a bit tricky.
Looks like teams have a fair bit of resources, so we'll see how they manage to use them. Blue does have the shot go down, and Zap just went down, so doesn't look like they have a cooler.
Bucket's also gone down. No cooler weapons up.
Indeed. Let's see here. It looks like Orange has a couple specials. They could certainly use this to get something going. Looks like they want to wait, though, I think, for their Bucket to respawn.
They don't have long to wait, though. They've only got a bit over 30 seconds, or it's game over.
Indeed. Oh, luckily they barely managed to get their cooler out, though, unfortunately, several of them go down, and looks like another push, or maybe a stall on the right side.
That's a delayed wipe, and that dog are pushing in, which is interesting considering no specials, and they have such a lead.
Indeed. I think they might be wanting to try and stall it over there so the other team can't get points. Yeah. Looks like they do get a wipeout though, but they opt to just keep the Rainmaker back.
Yeah, and that is game one to that dog Finmare. An excellent game by them. They took a little while to get going, but once they got mid, they were able to hold it and just run wild.
Indeed. I think I came in a little late, but it definitely seems like this is a very interesting game here.
Oh yeah. Like, not just anything against Time Crunch Part 2, they played excellently. They did a good job getting early lead and shutting down the first push. Just didn't quite manage to be able to recapture any momentum or the mid.
Indeed. I think as well, couple staggers with the Rainmaker trying to rush something out. I mean, the Rainmaker really needs to be careful because it functions much more like a backline than a front line.
Yeah. Like, trying to get it out can be good, but they're already behind, so dropping it doesn't get them that much advantage. And they do play it slow at times, but almost a bit relied too heavily on breakaways to get away from the enemy frontliners and overlooked that ball point a couple of times.
Indeed. Looks like though we are moving on to Scorch Clams. Definitely, I think definitely one of the better Clams maps. So I'm interested to see how both teams go about this.
Better Clams map and better Scorch map than most of the ones in the game. Yes, we will see how they handle it. Like, will we see any breakaways over Grates in order to push in, or will we see them just stick to the usual push right, capture that choke point, and push in?
Indeed. I think one thing that definitely can't be understated is trying to get a backline set up on those grates. You can certainly get an interesting angle as you let the rest of the team push in right.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Looks like the game's about to start here.
Going in. Yes. And we'll see who wins, because if that dog can get this in the map as well, that's in the set. This isn't play all where you have an opportunity for a third game. This is just pure best of, and otherwise you are gone.
Oh, indeed. Oh, looks like we got a pencil coming out. Very strong on this map. And, well, for the recent patch, might be the best cooler in the option right now.
Yes, one of the few without a special point nerf.
Mm-hmm.
We also see the bucket come out as well. It's the special point nerf from the recent patch.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like got an early pick on the Carbon. That's definitely useful. I feel like that was one of the things that was giving him a lot of trouble in the last set.
Yeah.
So interesting to see how they
getting that Carbon
capitalize.
early is an excellent pick. No one from Time Crunch has gone down yet, and that dog do seem to be holding back a bit more.
Ooh, Carbon seems to be, dropping on the left. I think might have helped getting another pick. It's just the Tetras right now. So we'll see what they managed to do.
Yes, they got 3. That's
definitely a good pick, managing to get the back line there.
Yes, and even though the Tetras did manage to get in and win the fight, they didn't actually get that much done when the base is already under threat.
Oh, indeed. And unfortunately, they do manage to get another trade, which isn't too bad, but, I mean, Dog and Me still has, a lot of control here, which is definitely not a good thing for Time Crunch.
Yes, and they're still getting clams in. They've got the clam relay going, and, the Tetras nearly stopped it, but not quite enough.
It looks like we might, can they get that shot? I think he's the last one there. He managed to get another pick.
Yes.
2 more. He's got jumps back in and everything.
Grara is popping off today.
Oh, indeed. Thankfully for Time Crunch, the basket gets closed, but they really need to get mid-controlled soon.
Yes. Yeah, there's another power clan coming in.
Indeed, we got the whales coming out, but there is a crab on the other side. It's just the splash, though. Finally took them down. Just the Carbon. Probably going to be sharking. They'll have to be careful.
Yeah, and they already get a pick as they're trying to break in.
Indeed. Carbon probably going to be looking to try and jump on them. They'll really have to be careful. Looks like he's sharking over on the left at the moment.
Yes, they seem to be stopping anyone from pushing in, and quickly getting a couple of shots off, and then ducking back away. Probably trying to conserve specials.
Indeed. It looks like have 2 Zookas, one on both sides coming out.
Yes.
I think one of them got the pencil, which is certainly big. They got a push here. 40 points. Any more?
Yes. They got 2 power clams in. But can they actually hold it?
Unfortunately not. It looks like they get a delayed wipeout, or partially delayed. And, jeez, the other team managing to take
a lot of very quick capture.
Oh, yeah.
They've got a grab, they've got the power, they've got the pencil. They have secured so much space in such a short span of time.
Indeed. Plus, there's also the pity back in their face. A couple more clams in that pity could end things off. It does look like
they don't get it in quite in time.
Yeah. Definitely a good thing for Time Crunch, but only a minute and a half remaining. They really need to make a big push here.
Ooh, and that Zuko gets several picks. That is a good opportunity to stop any attempt of that push and start reclaiming some of that turf in mid that they really need to claim.
Indeed. Looks like they do have mid control. With so much time, they can certainly build a ton of clams. Go for a really big push here. They do need to be careful. Carbon's going in. They pick it off, though. That's good. Ooh, that's a triple
Carbon wasn't
there.
able to get in, and that's 3 down. Pencil's the only one left, and they're being hounded down.
Indeed. Looks like they're trying to make a clam right now. Go for another push.
Yes, and they've got a couple other clams around which they might be able to get in,
Looks
possibly.
like they got the other one in.
Yes.
You don't need much more. But we'll see. Can they get
Yeah,
that other one? They get
three-quarter.
it one more and they take lead.
Ooh, some more clams.
Oh, he gets it.
Yes, they do.
Great pick.
Wow,
Less than
that-
1 minute remaining, but the Dog and Me is not going down without a fight. They are coming back with a vengeance.
They've got the space. They got the space secured. The question is whether they can do anything in the 40 seconds they have left.
Tetris get picked off early. That's not a good sign. So Zuka coming out.
And the Zuka's out trying to get that bucket.
And the
Doesn't quite
crab,
land the
too.
hit.
They don't need a lot more. Just a power clam and another clam. Barely anything needed. They can't get to the basket at all.
Yeah,
If
and
just
that's a lot of
that
clams
ball
there.
gets in, it's probably going to be a flip. There it is.
Yes, that's a flip.
Oh, might even be a knockout. It is.
Yes,
That
that was
insane.
a brilliantly tight game from those two teams. Always lovely to see the teams just go at it, and you could really see how the other the time crunch, they nearly had it. Like the main thing that lost it was just losing that space in the mid just that a little bit too quickly, constantly. But they, unlike the previous game where they were a little bit trying to get the Rainmaker out of their plat, this time they actually were able to be patient, get the couple of key picks needed, and then get in and get those points. And that steady stream of points got them the lead temporarily.
Indeed. I think it felt like it was definitely more on defense. I think maybe they panicked a little bit, and well, the other team is really good at taking space quickly, and I feel like they really needed to be careful there.
Yes. And it looks like we've actually got, like looking at the bracket, we can actually, like if not sure the bracket graphic up, it doesn't look like it, but we do, but if you go look at the bracket on Battlefy, you can actually see that we do have the two teams already moved on to the finals, with CJ Squad beating our Great Apes, which is already a sign of how good CJ Squad is. We saw you commentate Great Apes back in set 2, I think it was.
Yes, it was set 2. Yeah, Great Apes did a really good job. I mean, I do know the team Baby Girls, and well, I think they were a little rusty coming back so recently. They really put up a good fight, so very interested to see the team that managed to beat the Apes.
Yes, it'll be good to see what this match holds in store.
Indeed. And I believe this is the finals here, which would make it a best of 5.
Yes.
Definitely useful. While it does take a fair bit longer, it really does help show who the stronger team is, which I think both teams are definitely appreciative of that.
Yes. And it also allows the showcasing of a few extra modes, you know, where last time we only got to see 2 maps and modes. Whereas this time, you could have up to 5.
Indeed. I mean, it does look like a quick look at their profile pictures. It seems like we got the bear versus the dog, you know. So we've got the fight of the animals.
Yeah. So see which one's stronger.
Indeed. Does look like CJ Squad having a lot of members compared to Dog and Me. I'm curious to see how that dynamic will go. You know, one potentially having stronger comms due to practicing a lot more, but the other does have a lot more flexibility.
Yes, definitely a good consideration there. And those strong comms might have held that dog in there in the last set. It will be interesting to see how that compares to CJ Squad this time.
definitely interested in seeing how CJ's squad deals with the carbon. I am assuming that Dog will be bringing that back as it worked so well for them.
Almost certainly.
You know, very very strong weapon, the carbon. I mean, even if you do have good comms, a good carbon can still be very big challenge.
Yes, the carbon can be a very big nuisance that creates a lot of issues for you, and even beyond the carbon, like you still have the pencil there or the NZAP, depending on who's doing which role. They can just create the paint and get the carbon in, because the carbon by itself does struggle to get in, but that time you could see how much paint they're able to get down to recapture mid, which allows the carbon to just get in there.
Oh, of course, they really know how to play with that weapon. I think that's definitely a good strength on their end. You know, I mean, you have one of those, there's some weapons in this game that if you know how to play around them, it is really strong.
Oh yeah. And we got the map list up, and we are kicking things off with Hagglefish Market. Any thoughts on Zone? Any thoughts on this?
I mean, pretty classic map since the game started. I think it's a pretty solid map, all things going for it. You know, it's got ways around mid. You know, it's got obviously the really good tent for backlines. Mid's not, like, the zone's not too small, so it's not it can definitely be cheesed, but it's not the easiest, which does help. Definitely interesting to see how both teams approach this one.
Yes. Yeah, because it is a longer map, which does mean that it could be a little trickier for Carbon to get in there, but they do have the side routes to try to get that quick flank around, so it will be interesting to see whether the Carbon can take advantage of that. It is also a longer map.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a relatively long, skinny map, not as skinny as some, but it is still long and skinny generally, so it will be interesting to see if anyone decides to pull out from the buffed Inkstorm here in order to try to put down paint and tank through mid.
Oh yeah, and I mean, with Inkstorm getting that buff, that could certainly be interesting with the right comp.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Or it might, that could be an interesting option if they want to swap, if Bubbles wants to swap to the Sniper Rifle with the Storm. Because we did see them use the one with the cooler, and that's still a very good weapon here with that long painting range.
Oh, indeed. And then you can also use the wall to set up much better in mid in order to put a lot of paint down.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it looks like the match is about to begin.
All right, let's see what we got. Oh, double sword comp.
Double damper. Like, usually it's damper and visor, not double damper. That's a very long range comp when you also factor in that there's a pencil.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that Carbon's gonna have some trouble going in. They got a lot of ways to space it out. So interesting to see how Dog will approach this.
Yes, and we can see that the Carbon is trying to figure out how to get around like that. That's behind that pillar there.
Mm-hmm. They are firing off Bazooka. Don't get much value with it, but one of the swords rushes in. Probably could get a flip here. And indeed they do.
Yes, and they do. Interesting though, I think the sword that went down actually got comeback, so it becomes a question of whether it's just going to power through, which we do see with the shot. Ooh, and that's 3 down from that dog.
Mm-hmm. CJ managing to get a really good comeback here. Looks like they have a solid hold so far. Zuka and Crab.
They do pull out that Zuka to counter Crab.
And they got their own Crab up too.
Yes, and meanwhile, that dog, they don't have much, although they are popping up another Zuka. Will they get value from it? They do get a shot.
It's nice that they got the one pick, but I think, oh no, they did. Nice, good pick off there. Trying to pressure that sword.
Will they be able to hold it with the swords already there?
There's 2 on the right there. Let's see. I think they grabbed one of them. I don't know if they... I think the other jumped out.
Meanwhile, like the pencil's trying to hold it, and they did get some damage, but it did like that dog did slow down the pushback.
Yeah, looks like the pencil had to jump out on the left, but they do have another cooler, so we can see another push coming from Dog here. Zuka comes out, gets one pick, which is really good.
Yeah.
They do. CJ does have a crab though, which they can use to try and hold some space here.
And they seem to have popped it. They're
But-
trying to retain zone, trying to hold it, keeping they're out of penalty, so if they can get this, then they do get the point. They are racking up those
huge.
points. They've got the cooler.
Ooh. Really clutch
Yeah,
pick on the
bing
pencil
bong.
there. Pencil was forced to pop
He got
cooler
the
because they ran
cooler
out
out.
of ink.
Not much value. They had to retreat. Like the sword had to retreat pretty quickly.
Definitely big. That means that. Oh, they do get the cooler at the last second though, so they have a nice cooler for this retake.
Yes. We see crab versus crab, and which crab will win?
Looks like.
Apparently, spend most of the time shooting at each other, and Bazooka decides to try to win.
Yeah. Oh, Carbon does go down though, and they got a zip caster going in.
Yes, they look like if CJ are doing anything to get a good counter push there, and while that dog only has a Zuka ready, actually anything close.
Yeah.
And the
So
Zuka
they
comes
do
out,
decide to pop it. The other team does have a Zuka for retaliation though, and they do get the shot.
and they pop it, that's a shot down. Pencil to be pushed back, and only the Carbon in there without much tank, but 10 seconds and 10 points
Yeah.
to go. Can they actually get these hits?
Ooh, they get taken down by the pencil. They do still get the zone though. That is good.
That was
They
a
play-
critical flip.
Yeah, if they play carefully here, they could restabilize.
But sadly they aren't able to, although the sword does get a little bit aggressive and go down.
Yeah. Got a Zuka coming in. Will they get much value out of it? Oh, they get one pick. That is the Neo, so no crab for a little bit here.
Ooh, that's a massive lot of picks there. It's one on each side as that
Ooh.
shot. Sorry. The
Definitely
crab tries
punch on
to
the pencil.
delay it. Yes.
They do manage to
that's
recover,
the
but
dog.
the pencil getting that contest there means that Dog does not get as many points as they would have hoped.
Yes, but they are back. The Zuka does give them the crab though, so that's no walkout potential there. It's now up to a matter of
Indeed.
whether this Zuka is enough to hold off for 15 points.
They did get a double though. They have a couple specials, so they could potentially. Oh, but the Stamper goes down. I don't think the crab has enough.
Yes, the crab's not got quite enough tank, and it's really tight here. And that dog managed to get the first game.
Definitely very close on both sides. I think very interesting games to see. Both teams seem pretty evenly matched, so I think we have a good several games ahead of us.
Yeah, and evenly matched in different ways. That dog were very aggressive, almost like a not pure frontline, but very heavily frontline skewed comp, where they went in and tried to get picks with the Carbon, and with the shot, and with the flash, and then try to lock them out using pencil and the grab, while DJ, the Bears, ended up going for the quite different comp of two long range swords, pencil, and a shot.
Yeah, indeed. I think the swords were quite an interesting play. I think, had to be careful in poking the bear because I think they definitely had much better in the terms of defense, and like they could really just let Dog come to them and really apply a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and if they can, and it also helped hold back that Carbon from the first couple of pushes. That Carbon did struggle to get in, and those swords were probably part of the reason. But now we're moving to a very different map with Museum D. Alfonsino Rainmaker.
Definitely an interesting one. Probably not one of my favorite Rainmaker maps, but I mean, Museum's still really solid. I'm interested
Yeah.
to see how both teams will play it.
Yeah, we'll probably still see a sword come out from CJ. Double sword and a zap?
Got a Carbon there.
Yes, no change
Alright.
from that dog. While CJ have actually changed to an even shorter range comp, which is an interesting choice, and they do get first pop, unsurprisingly.
Get a good pick on the Carbon there. I think CJ's plan is probably to use the Rainmaker as their backline and try and just really be super aggressive. We'll see how it pays off.
Yeah.
It pays off.
Yes. Get the zap to pop cooler, and then it transitions to an anchor roll, but see whether it can work.
They are getting rushed down. Let's see. They are forced to back up, giving a lot of space. Carbon almost getting them.
Yeah.
Still up and moving in.
Yes, that Carbon has gotten in and is causing chaos on their plat.
So the double swords managed to clean up pretty well. So Control flips back pretty effectively. Let's see how well that
Yes, we do.
Rainmaker pays off.
Yes, and we'll do also see if that Zook can get some hits.
You have to be careful though,
No,
with
but
the
it's
Zuka
two
coming out.
counter Zook.
Oh, the Carbon! Damn. Carbon, you really have to be careful.
Dived through and got two.
Yeah, he's sharking by the Rainmaker, probably looking to take it down if they try and pick it up, which is pretty smart. Oh, but they do punish it. Luckily manages to get away.
Yes. And now CJ are back on the offensive, and they have a crab ready to support this push if they decide to use it here.
Yeah, and it looks like they do,
dog's
trying
doing
to
a flank.
soften up the backline. There is a Zuka, unfortunately gets taken down. And Carbon's
he's
also
off-angle
forced to
from the
retreat.
Zuka there. Yes, and that dog loses their crab as well. That's a key defensive tool they had there, which has gone down.
Indeed. Rainmaker 34, pretty solid. They might even get more here. It looks like they are.
Yes, especially with that Carbon down, and that is a 9.
That's definitely huge. I feel like with their comp being a little more defensive with the swords, it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for Dog.
Oh yes, with that, like, you've got the crab there, you've got the double swords, you've got the cooler. It is not going to be easy for that dog to push in now that they've lost that much turf.
Indeed. Oh, Carbon's still doing a lot of work, gets another pick, and looks like there's only 2 of them on their plat. There is some potential here for a push.
Yes, especially with the Zuka ready. And they use it in order to get key kicks. One down on each side.
But
That
of course,
crab just doesn't
classic crab on the spinner.
Yes. A good angle to shut them down from, and the Zuka didn't quite get the pick.
Unfortunately, the splash goes down, unable to capitalize on their attempt to shark.
Yes. Yeah, they tried to shark, but unfortunately got shut down kind of hard and then weren't able to retreat. They get the pop again, and it's a matter of whether they'll try to counter push or if they'll try to just leave it as a hold.
Yeah. Looks like they do have a crab up top. A lot of potential here. I think it's just the zap at the moment. They will get check here unless... Oh, the zap's doing a good job. They still do get the check, though.
Yes. Yes, the zap tried, and that bottom was very cheeky placement to try to force them out, but not quite enough. And that dog do end up losing the plat and having to fall back.
I mean, the checkpoint's not bad, but it does have a risk. Without that checkpoint, their overtime is definitely cut in half. So we'll see if they end up having to rely on that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still a minute left. There is room for play. And it will be a lot funny seeing that almost rank like a trying to do a flank with Pencil there briefly earlier. Now you see the Zuka out. No real kick.
There's Zuka, crab on the spinner. It does look like CJ's just trying to play defensive, really trying to maintain control of the spinner. Ooh, the zip goes down though.
Yes, the zip cast the flank went down. That's going to be lost for their defensive power. Especially with the
Shots
Carbon on the
low on
pad now.
resources.
Trying to get the pick.
Shot
Yes,
manages
they
to
do have a
sneak
crab
away.
now.
A lot of them are on right side, but I do see pressure over there. Oh no!
Oh, the
Rain goes
bomb!
down. They have to rush to get that.
Oh. Yeah,
They
they need
do.
to get that and keep it alive.
That That was clutch. If they're careful enough, they can potentially regroup, and they have a lot of time. Ooh,
Yes.
unfortunately, the Zuka.
Zuka clips just get them, and that is a game to CJ.
Indeed.
Said there, that was a lot of backwards and forwards and just seeing if the Carbon could get in there, but those swords didn't do a good job of holding their plat.
Oh, indeed. I think they were definitely good at spacing out the Carbon, and I think, like, once they were able to gain that little bit of momentum, having those mid-range weapons really helped when pushing in for all those points.
Yeah. Yeah, using that range in order to just shut down the opponents as they pushed in, while then also countering with push of their own. They use them to get in the push, and then when Ford tried to push in, they had the issue of just not being able to have the range to get past those two swords and the crab just shooting constantly.
Indeed. I think really you can really see why they would pick such a comp once you go into a mode like Rainmaker. You know, you get one good push and then you can really hold the line with those weapons there.
Oh yeah. That hold was valuable for their win, and now it's on to Crab Leg Capital.
Definitely an interesting
Seeing the
map.
crabs and the... You go ahead.
With Crab Leg here, we are on Clan Blitz. Bit of an interesting one. Crab Leg, you know, even if you get a win in mid, oftentimes you still need to do another team fight just because of how close the basket is to the spawn. So interesting to see how these teams will play around that.
Oh yes. And there's also a matter of having of that high ground being mostly on the grate, which makes it that little bit less than safe than the usual high ground.
Indeed. Looks like no comp changes either team. So interesting to see how it goes.
Each team has brought a crab to Crab Leg. And we see how they go.
Yeah, two crabs on one crab on either side, definitely useful. I think biggest threat for CJ is if that pencil gets on the grates, could provide a lot of pressure and make it difficult to retake.
Ooh. The Zuka from behind does catch out that Carbon as they were in the duel. And we do see two down from that org, while CJ, they've already back up to full team.
Ooh, they got a crab in their base, basically. It does go down, though, which is big. But they still might be able to get a push out here.
Looks like it's sold out to just. It's very much on the precipice of being sold out, especially with that crab nearly online, so that dog.
Yeah, I think really goes to show you can't push in too hard on this map, because, you know, there's, like, the defender geometry is pretty solid on this one.
Yes, as he said, you're so close to the enemy spawn that you do need that second fight if you actually want to get any solid points, or else you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And the trade on each side with the Carbon going down, as sword's gone down on CJ though.
Though their Neo does have a crab, which could be really good if Dog decides to push in.
Yes, the Dog do have the Zuka to counteract, or two of them, but both of them fired and one goes down. With no more Zukas, they don't have a solid answer for that crab if they decide. And yeah, there comes out the crab. Yes, they have their own counter crab, but it's going to struggle. And two down from that crab. That was excellent pick.
They do have the pencil on the grate.
Yeah, they got the pencil on the grate, which, as you said, is a good opportunity to try to cause some chaos there. But also, they weren't able to really push in. Maybe they were short on plans and just went, we have to actually build up for a proper push.
Yeah, looks like got another Zuka coming out. Oh, nice cancel on the Zipcaster.
Yes, the Zipcaster was handing them down and did force them to waste some shots and time, but in the end, Zuka won.
Trying to punish that Carbon. I think, they managed to squeak away, and it looks like Dog is running up a push here.
Yes, they've got 7 clams on 2 of their weapons. So it looks like they're starting to reshuffle and see if they can build out some more pressure and just lose the pencils that had the ball.
Yeah, that's definitely unfortunate. Hard to tell, but I don't think they're cooler either, which means that if they go down, this could be really bad.
Especially if they've got the Zuka now. Like, that Zuka could open up the opportunity, especially with everyone being roughly even.
Mm-hmm.
And they go down.
Yeah, I mean, we're almost 3.5 minutes in. No score from either team. Definitely very evenly matched.
Yeah, this is supposed to be a first game of Clams in Splatoon 2 or playing mincemeat here. So it shows how well matched the teams are, and just they've each got a win. They're a big force to each other now.
Yeah. Though right now CJ has control of mid, so there is some potential here. If they could build some more specials up, they might be able to get something here.
Yes, but it looks like the Zuka might have come out and forced some pressure.
Looks like a crab from Dog, but they do lose 2 members, so CJ still has control here.
Yes, CJ has still got control. They are
With the
pushing
carbon.
in bit by bit, and commentators curse once again.
That could
CJ
be
has just
huge.
lost all momentum, and they are down to Butana, who might have a crab, and there we go.
There's the score.
40 seconds to go. First point.
Looks like probably just 20 points, but that might be all they need. It has been a big struggle to push.
CJ did an excellent job recapturing mid as soon as that push died, but they don't have long to play around with. It's the last 10 seconds here, and they do still have the power plant for overtime. Ooh. And they do make the breakaway. Get it
They only
in,
need
but that's
one
not
more.
going to be
That
enough.
shot. Oh, the shot goes down. They
Ooh.
only have the Stamper. A Stamper goes down too.
And the Stamper goes down. Wow.
Yeah, does seem like they may have panicked a little bit trying to get the ball in, but they weren't able to get the follow-up.
Yeah, like, they did have the overtime to play around with, and probably should have tried to use that to a slightly greater degree, just to take advantage.
Indeed.
Because
Feel
that
like-
was...
One thing that probably would be important for the teams is trying to get a feel of how far back you need to be before you can score a clam, especially in a moment like that where you really need to get in and you really need to throw it at the first possible opportunity.
Yeah, like, they could have lost any other opportunity after that if Dog came back, which they have been aggressive at coming back. Those teams were just swapping mid backwards and forwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do have Dog does appear to be at match point right now with it being 2-1. We're going into ship-shaped tower here.
Yes, another one of the more recent teams and strong additions alongside Crab League. One that, teams are still playing around a bit, and we did see ship shaped earlier with Zone. But how does it work? But what are your thoughts with how Tower works?
I mean, without the elevation of mid, it is pretty flat. Often means that I feel like backlines are a fair bit stronger on this one. They have more sight lines. I do feel like tower is pretty decent on this map because the tower path is able to snake around a fair bit. And definitely interested to see how well the teams can control space on this map. That if you can get that like right side, prevent the backline from setting up over there, maybe prevent them from getting on the left side as well, it could certainly snowball.
Oh yeah, you do need to be careful and be able to transition. You've got to set up in order to secure the right and left-hand side to get the tower through it first, but then you have that big right-hand side flattened area which you do need to get past, and we will see how teams tackle it.
Mm-hmm. It's like no changes from
No
either
problem
comp.
again.
Definitely.
Yes, they seem to be confident with each comp.
Yeah, definitely fair. I think both teams are playing really well with this comp, and they seem to be pretty evenly matched, and I think they don't want to risk changing that.
Oh no, but the Carbon's already down. We are barely 15 seconds in, and Carbon is already struggling, but we do see Cooler out already as well.
I do think they had planned this out, though, because it was just the Carbon taking the risk, so they didn't lose too much space off that. Certainly good, because they managed a few picks here.
Yeah, I think they knocked down 2 of CJ, and they've knocked down another 3 already, so they're doing a good job of just quickly getting in and burning through any attempt at Cooler.
Yeah, they really... Hopefully that Crab can get that Pencil, because generally past mid it's really flat. Pencil has really good sight lines. It could be hard to approach the tower.
Yes, and it's also an option, so it must be challenging to have lost that checkpoint. Like, Crab nearly secured the check, like prevented it from being lost, but not quite. And that dog have already wiped out everyone but Zap.
Oh yeah, definitely a very risky position to be in for CJ. They really need to be careful here. Though it does look like they do have numbers, and they are rushing in, which is certainly good.
Yes, and as soon as they pushed all out, they went with John, and seemed to have secured mid partially.
Doesn't look like they were able to get mid. Unfortunately, Dog is ready for another go at the tower here.
Yes, it looks like they got there first, but didn't quite manage to get the key pick.
Does look like the double swords
doesn't matter when it's
pretty
5
well.
seconds later.
Yeah.
They got the pick. They got the pick pretty quickly and are now relatively set up.
That
Especially when the Zuka
big
decides to
damage.
come through and take out 2.
Yeah, especially it looks like they wanted to get a Crab up there as well with the sword. Oh, the shot does go down. That could be a good thing
Good
for
old bomb.
CJ.
Yes, I think they're giving CJ the momentum in order to push in, especially with neither side having any specials yet.
Carbon had to jump out there due to them almost getting collapsed on. So looks like CJ has a pretty good push going here.
Yes, they've got the Crab out, they've got the Zip Caster ready, they fired off the Zuka, and now they just need to survive the clan and the enemy, so the Crab and enemy Zuka.
Oh, down goes the Crab. It's a 1v1 right now. Got the Zuka.
Yes.
Doesn't manage to get anything, though. And they got jumps back in.
Yes, that was a good job surviving the Zuka and managing to push past some checkpoint.
Yeah. So the Carbon barely squeaks away. Does get killed by the Crab, though, which is definitely not good for Dog right now.
Yes,
CJ about to take lead here. Ooh. But goes down to a bomb or something. Carbon cleans up.
They just got it.
Yeah, that definitely clutch, whatever took those 2 down. They would have gotten on the right side there and potentially knocked it out.
Oh yes, and they got a Crab ready to set up in order to secure this first part of their push.
Yeah. Looks like the sword's trying to take it down, but can't get a good angle on it.
Yes. And now they're 3v3. That dog are losing players though. And it looks like that's a delayed wipe, and CJ is able to counter push once more.
Definitely good on CJ's part. I mean, they have a decent lead, so as long as they can hold up for this next minute, then they can take this to the last game.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yeah, that
the
dog has
pencil's
the option to
staggered.
push back. Yeah.
Pencil displaced by the Zuka. That's definitely useful. Oh, smart Crab
Ooh, that's-
playing it while the Zuka's distracted.
Yes. Good timing. A little bit tight to hat, but they did manage. But they did trust their team and got the Crab out to force payoff.
And the Zipcaster there as well managed to grab another pick.
Yes. And the Carbon, but everyone's in from that dog is in that left pit area.
Oh, there's a Carbon behind them. Oh, and unfortunately,
And
a
a
DC on
disconnect.
Dog.
Yes. And
Unfortunately, we're...
it's too late for a replay.
Yeah, indeed. That definitely sucks. It looks like Dog's probably not going to be able to get a retake here. Very unfortunate.
Yeah. Bit of a shame. Yeah, CJ, they've got the tower. Pencil's couldn't quite reach. And that's game. We are 2-2, and it is dead point to break the tiebreaker.
Yeah. Well, while the DC is unfortunate, at the end of the day, it would have been a very grueling struggle to try and get lead back. So I don't think it was the worst. I don't think it was the biggest deal, and I do hope they can bounce back from that and they don't let it affect them.
Yeah, like they would have, as you said, they would have had a hard time pushing back. It was only a 4-point difference, but needing to cross mid against a Crab and the two Splatanas would have been a very hard exercise when you're down just a couple of points and need to push past using that check.
Indeed. Not to mention they also would have had to go past a checkpoint too, and the Splatanas could just drop on them and start swinging.
Oh yes, with their crit damage, they could just drop on tower and immediately get rid of anyone there.
Yeah.
We are going to the final match of Barnacle and Dime Zone.
Oh yeah. Definitely my team's favorite map right now. I think Barnacle's got a lot of potential. I'm curious to see how they'll handle it.
Yes, it's an interesting one because you still have those couple of side routes to try for the Carbon to try to get in, but the Carbon can't take advantage of that. There's a good bit of open ground for the Swords to take control of, and it is a very snowbally map, so whichever team manages to win this first push will probably get a good chunk of the points, and it will be a hard exercise for whoever's opposing them to push back in.
Oh, indeed. I think both comps are really strong in a lockout scenario. You know, you have the Carbon could Shark, and you have the double swords with the Crab and the Zipcaster. I think whichever team, if any team gets a solid take on their opponent's stack, that is a massive push.
Oh, yes. We've seen just how good these teams can be at locking each other out when they do manage to get into a lockout position. Trick of it though is whether, as we've seen, they've also both been relatively calm when trying to push back in, and when they've been down, they have usually not panicked. They've been able to they've usually been able to take a little bit of time, and even if it kills time, that patience might help them with a retake.
Oh, indeed. You don't see much feeding. I guess if any one of them, it might be the Carbon taking the odd risk, but that tends to be a pretty Carbon thing to do. And I mean, just scaring your opponent is already massive on that weapon.
Oh yeah. And there's also the Splatana with their comeback, which might also take a couple of risks just to hold home line a bit and so just secure that little bit of extra space.
Yeah. Ooh, we got a 96 coming out on Dog's side.
Yes, it looks like they decided to take Zuka in favor of Kraken, which is an interesting pick here.
I do see the idea, though. You could send the Kraken in on that pretty small stack. Could be useful for retake or potentially just trying to displace them off. I mean, it's such a key piece that I think it makes sense.
Oh yeah, it could be a good way to get in within the Sword's range and then just be able to take them out, and where the Swords can't do much.
You do see the Kraken being used there, trying to displace them as CJ was trying to retake there.
Yes. The only thing no one's been able to really push past mid, even though that dog has managed to take down a decent chunk. There's no definitive lead here yet.
Yeah. Though, looks like CJ might have some potential. Though they are out of specials, so they could run out of gas here.
Yes, well, that dog do have Crab, which they have popped in an attempt to hold the zone.
And a Kraken going in, trying to displace the members of CJ. Gets one of them to jump, which is certainly big.
Yes.
So they're going to use a wall, try and get that recall.
Didn't quite get it.
Though still a fairly decent hold, they should be able to get quite a few more points off this, even as they're going down.
Yes, they're two down, they are getting back, and CJ have already lost their zap.
Well, Crab's coming out. That's
you see the Crab
big.
out on their Oh yeah.
I mean, you can see that.
Yeah,
you can see the Pencil as well reacted very well, immediately trying to take high ground, avoid that Crab. So they were definitely prepared for it.
Yes. But CJ do think they have the advantage here. Even though that dogs are pushing back in, they have had to use 3 specials just on
Ooh, the
retake.
bomb.
Yes,
Oh,
you
that
could
was
see that they were
unfortunate.
trying to get rid of the bomb with Kraken, but it just ran out, and they have to have a wipeout, and they have 20 points left.
Indeed.
gonna be very
Unfortunately, I don't think Dog has enough time to retake. Maybe they,
Yes,
if they can
they're
contest
getting
right
in,
now.
and they
Unfortunately not.
Ooh. Tough game, but no one, like, again, that was decided by the very last lockout. There was no real ease of locking out for a lot of that game.
Definitely see the potential of the Crab though, or the Kraken, with them trying to displace them. You know, and very campy map. So using a Kraken's not a bad idea,
Oh, yeah.
but unfortunately, it goes down at the worst time.
That means that the winner for this set and for Coral Class High Tide number 5 is DJ Squad. The Bears have won.
Yep. I mean, it may be winter, but you know they decided to come out of hibernation and really show everyone else who's boss.
Yes. Maybe someone just accidentally woke them up and didn't realize just what they would be able to bring.
Perhaps. I definitely think great play on both teams. Pretty minor things. But I mean, simple slip-ups are all it takes. You know, bad pick here and there.
Oh, yes.
It can be a disaster.
Oh, yes. Like, as we saw, like, as you said earlier, the replays are important to review.
Mm-hmm.
And if you, like, just looking at those fine little details of where they could have pushed, like, where they could have, you know, held back a bit, like with that final push, like CJ, like trying to do that final push in the Fab League Clams game, trying to figure out when to do that final push, and just possibly rushing a bit there, or that dog not quite being able to do a good hold on that final zones game. Those are definitely going to be moments to review, among others.
Oh, indeed. And I mean, sure that you could point at that Kraken and be like, oh, that's why we lost. But I mean, even them, like, they probably should have had better awareness of just how little time they had, and I'm sure there were other things as well.
Oh yeah, like, it has a solid game plan, but it's always going to be that question of should it have come at the cost of losing Ozuka? Would it have, like, when they've been not back, like, they've been longer range, but they haven't been backline, but they've been backline left. So would the Kraken really be able to get much camping on that stack?
Oh, indeed. I mean, Zuka is really good on this map, so like you can't rely on your carbon for Zuka, so definitely a risky play.
Oh yeah. So it looks like the other brackets have pretty much wrapped up.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, so we do see Splatoon 2 pickup, which we had on for the final settings of groups. Have won silver bracket. Yeah,
So
like
we also-
second set of groups, they managed to win bronze.
Yeah, and it does look like I believe it was Baby Girls that took it on the bronze set. 3-2 to GM.
Yeah. In grade 8, did manage to beat Time Crunch 2-0 for gold bracket third place. So those have been some really strong competition there.
Oh, indeed. It's definitely interesting though, the top 3 teams all having some kind of animal theme to them, you know. Curious to see if, you know, maybe that was just a coincidence, or maybe we'll see more of these teams.
Maybe. Yes. And also land animals. Nothing nothing at all Splatoon themed, except for bear, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously Mr. Grizz was a bear, and he wanted to bring the mammals back. He was lonely.
Yes. So that is it for Cold Clash High Tide this time. And where can the folks who want to find you elsewhere, Yoshiko? Where can they find you?
I am like cruising around on Twitter. It is just Yoshikai64 there. Tend to try and engage in discussions on state of the game, map reworks, that kind of stuff. I do also stream on Twitch under the username Squidineer, basically Squid and the last half of Engineer. So maybe you'll catch me doing one of my Sendo Q sets, or maybe you'll see me and my team on a tournament.
That'd be fancy. And as for me, I got none of those accounts really. If you want to find me somewhere, look at one of you might find me at a Discord, maybe TOing a tournament elsewhere, or here again. Because we do also have Chase the Rainbow, a tournament for NA across Oceania play. We do have that coming up soon.
That definitely sounds interesting.
I believe the first event is on the 10th if you're in NA, and 11th if you are in Oceania. So that's another 4 nights' time. Still got a few other events in the meantime. We got the next deadline coming up, and we also have, in a 4 nights' time, Cold Clash Low Tide number 6.
Definitely sounds like a lot of stuff going on. I do hope these teams and the people watching will have a good time with those.
Yes. We had a good time today and look forward to seeing you continue on in the other tournaments.
Indeed.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. And thank you to all the teams who participated in Cold Clash High Tide to provide us the excellent games for stream. And thank you as well, Yoshika, and to your commentator, again, to Xavier as well earlier here for the group stage. And thank you to, as well for coming back for the Rockets, Yoshika.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it, and hope everyone else has a good rest of their day, and good luck with future tournaments.
Yes, all the best.